Finally, oh my god. Hello. It's because I was trying to read scary stories too, guys. My internet was like, no. See, look. Do you see that chat trying to do? Oh, hold on one second. I gotta fix I gotta fix chat. I gotta fix everything. Chat, where are you? Chat's gone. So sad. Chat, come back. Chat, what? What's up? What? Oh my gosh, guys. This stream. What is happening today? What is happening today? Guys, is this working? Can you guys see? Is it working? Does it work? Does it function? Is the stream even working? I can't tell anymore. I tried to go live like 7 times now. Hold on. I don't know what. Is it because I'm about to read scary stuff? Is that what's about to happen? Is it? Oh, there's chat. Oh, the chat said, okay, perfect. Okay, we're good. It's all fine now. It's totally okay now. This is perfect. Hi. Welcome. Scary stories. We're gonna continue what we did last time. We're gonna read some long stories from our NoSleep. And then we're gonna also read some shorter. Sorry, that's me itching my eye. We're also gonna read shorter stuff from TwoSentenceHorror. But I'm glad you guys like this. So here we are. We're finally getting to chill together. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready. Did you guys already start reading? Is it working? Are we good? Chat on screen. Is it moving? Is it catching up now? Is it moving now? Pharaoh, is it moving now? Are we working? Is it working? It's working. Scariest part is, okay, yeah, I think we're catching up. Dangle, hey, how are you, bro? How's it going? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, I just need to ask real quick, do we want completely unsuitable background music to go with this, or no? Are we good? Are we gonna do it without any background music? And also, yeah, sorry about the delay, guys. I clearly don't get the best fortune when it comes to starting this kind of stream. Of course, I try to open Spotify, it's installing. Never mind, we're gonna just start reading something. Okay, so scary stories. So, bro, the fog is so thick in my town. Oh, Kai, is it really thick? It's because it's almost Halloween. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so for those of you who weren't here last time, I think everybody was, most of you guys seem like you were here last time. For those of you who weren't here last time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read a scary story, do my best narration audiobook voice, and then at the end, we're gonna discuss it. We're gonna chat about it. And as I'm reading, I'm not gonna interrupt in the middle. I'm not gonna break in the middle or say anything. I'll just read to the end of the story. But please feel free to type in your comments and thoughts as I do that. Yeah, feel free. Just type as I'm reading. Don't worry. Just type away. Type all your thoughts. And then at the end, I also ask all you guys for your rating out of 10 of how scary the story was. So, what out of 10 did you think was scary? Yeah. Pharaoh, thank you so much for being a member for 11 months and one of my big mod, my what do you call it? My mod that kind of like yo what? I'm sorry, can we time out Pharaoh? Where's Pharaoh? Can I time you out? If I time you out, does it make your super chat disappear? Is that what happens? No, I feel like I'm gonna get attacked if I time out Pharaoh for a bit. How long are the stories? Depends on the story. Some of them are like 5 minutes, some of them are a little longer. Yeah. So, okay, should we scary soundtrack? I don't know if I have a scary. Wait, should we see if there's a scary soundtrack we can have? Hold on, let me see. I'll check YouTube. See, when I put music, I have to make sure it's not copyright or else it'll block my stream or it'll like bonk my stream. Okay, wait. No copyright scary music. Let's see. Haunted house, lo-fi hip-hop mix, no copyright Halloween beats. Okay, let's go with this. This seems promising. This seems very promising. Okay, it doesn't look like there's a copyright problem. Okay. Yeah, look at this scary lo-fi. Can we hear this? Oh wait, the audio's not on. Here, wait. Can you hear this? Can we hear this? Is we good? Are we good? Some are like 2 hours long. No. One story is not 2 hours long. Don't worry. Is this audible? Is this too quiet? Is this okay? Remember, I'm going to be reading on top of this, so. We good? Hear what? Hear no, hear what? Oh. Can we hear this? Is this okay? I think this is good. I think this is like a barely there sort of volume. No, it's there. Do you not hear it? Do you not hear this? Chat? What? Guys? Ears? Are we okay? What's happening? What? Is there a problem? Can we hear this? No? Is chat needing to catch up? Can't hear. Are you serious? I hear the drum. Is this better? Is this... It's quiet? Okay. This is better. This is better, guys. Okay. Now you're all just trolling me. No. I hope a monster comes in and steals all your choco and gives it to me at night. You know what? That's what I wish upon you this Halloween. Gosh dang it. Okay, scary story. Let's go. So yeah, like I said, we'll read like I have like 6 long stories and then we have 2-sentence horror. So I'll read 3 long stories, then we'll do some short horror, and then we'll do some long stories again. Okay. Wait, was this one the really long one? Hold on, there was one that was really long and I was like instant regret. No, this one's not the super long one. Okay. Clap. Okay, are we ready, guys? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling... Get your hot cocoa, get your stuffed animal, get your... I don't know, get your little brother, hug them tight, because we're gonna start. We're gonna start. Okay. Every 20 years, an alarm goes off in my town. Every place has its own strange traditions, customs that seem normal when you're there, but completely outrageous or downright bizarre to anyone outside the circle. But when bonding with others from small provinces, my village always tops the conversation. My trump card for this is the alarm that sounds every 20 years. We were never outright told to not tell anyone, but it was heavily implied. A sort of silent agreement that this stays within the confines of our little village of Pendletown. But it's too good a story not to tell. I was young when I first witnessed one, about 3 years old. All I remember is the bustle of the village as we all entered an underground lock-in. Despite how thick the walls and doors were, we could all still hear it faintly. The blaring of the klaxons echoed around the village. Growing up, I'd see them. Tall poles with conical shapes on the end, facing various directions. There were no visible wires, which made you assume they were hidden inside. But there was also no opening for maintenance. Despite this, they functioned perfectly every time they went off. There was no department for them. No one knows what grid they are wired to. They're just there and they exist. It was just a fact that everyone accepted, though what wasn't accepted was a common consensus for why. For the next 20 years, I'd occasionally bring it up, and what people felt and knew drastically shifted from person to person. When I started high school, I'd walk to school every day. Driving wasn't and still isn't a common commodity in the area. Pendletown was small enough for driving to be more of a flex than a necessity. So a regular routine for many kids was to meet up with others on the same route, and the group built up as we neared the school. By the time they reached my house, there'd usually be 4 to 5 kids already built up, ready for me to add to the number. For the most part, their route was always the same, but due to the swings in weather, it was sometimes better to go down alternate paths. The tighter alleyways would provide cover from particularly harsh winds that plagued the winter months, and when we went this way, we'd sometimes see the Church of Many. This wasn't some grand cathedral. It was a function room where many middle-aged men would meet for a few beers. Drinking early in the day is universally seen as inappropriate, but they always argued it was for religious reasons, and somehow they always got away with it. We'd sometimes peek through the windows out of curiosity. We'd only heard rumors about the place, so we knew very little. However, we knew that the whole organization was based on the alarm, which sounded every 20 years. They were known for holding public events around the village. It honestly felt more like a themed community center than a religion. Sometimes that gave our little area an identity. But you could never say this to them. If you bring up their so-called relaxed worship, they'd argue you out the room about the importance of the organization. They would even go as far as to make you thank them for saving the town every 20 years, claiming that it was their doing that things weren't worse when the alarms went off. As you can imagine, it's nigh impossible to prove their claim, but equally impossible to prove otherwise. Quite honestly, the whole thing would be forgotten about for long periods. Something that happened every 20 years doesn't exactly bring about a sense of urgency. But sometimes in school, a kid would bring it up and talks would start all over again. There'd be a new theory thrown in and jokes around the room each time. But this is where Isaac always stood out. If you ever brought up the alarm with him around, he'd say the same thing. The alarm is a hoax. Something to understand, our town isn't exactly 100% on the grid. It's known about by the government, but so disregarded that we've managed to uphold a sort of autonomous zone, separate from outside influence. Because of this, we still have some kind of royal family, but to actually call them that is an overstatement. They're just the lineage of the founders that have passed down power through each generation. They claim they know the secrets of the alarm, but say it's kept from the public for the village safety. This is another point of contention, but we'll save it for now. Just know that this family has a lot of power in this village, but for the most part, they're well liked since they're very involved with the growth and development of the land. This doesn't stop the rumors, though. Isaac had one thought when it came to the alarm: a hoax. His theory goes that it's done to subjugate the population. Every 20 years, they assert their dominance by sounding the alarms and seeing who obeys. A simple routine that lets everyone know who's in charge. You see, anyone who doesn't seek shelter in the town's bunker is never seen again. During my later years in school, I met a girl called Edna. She was sweet. The village was small, so meeting new people was rare after a certain point. People exaggerate when they say a place is so small that everyone knows each other, but some of the more busy people might literally have done that. I met her during a school outing. The years in school were split. She was in the year below, and this particular trip was mixed with a few years. By the end, we were inseparable, and this carried on after the trip ended. I very quickly met her family, and we all got on well. But one moment really stood out to me, and that's when the alarm was brought up. I only brought it up offhandedly at the dinner table. I mentioned that someone at the school was talking about the Church of Many being caught being drunk and disorderly again and started raving about the alarm like it was urgent, and the table sort of grew somber. Her parents didn't seem to want to say anything, but Edna put the silence out its misery by explaining their side of things. Apparently, she had an older brother, James. James had heard a rumor about the alarm that was still around. The idea was this: if you stayed out during the alarm, you were met by the spirits of the village. If you went to them with a wish in your heart so strong, it'd be granted. James had a wish, something he never shared with his family. Well, James snuck away when the evacuations were happening. Edna's family couldn't find him, but it was too late to go searching. So they had to hope James was okay when the alarms were going off. They searched and searched afterwards. The whole town had gotten involved, but James was nowhere to be found. The idea of something supernatural happening during the alarms wasn't a foreign idea to people, but Edna's family had their thoughts. James would never have wished to be away from his family. So if he stayed out to make a wish and was gone, the spirits could never be good. They were evil and had to be hidden from. I once talked to my dad about the alarms. My dad was a run-of-the-mill handyman. If you needed something done, he'd either be able to do it or figure out how. He was able to figure out any practical issue if you gave him enough time. My dad was sometimes sought for his advice. His practical thinking translated well to other areas, and he became a sort of counselor for some. No one had degrees in the village. Knowledge was brought in from outside sources, but no one really left Pendletown for qualifications. Besides, there would be no need. Around there, qualifications came from already being able to do the job or apprenticing with someone until you could. This is to say, he isn't stupid. You can imagine education in a place like this isn't of the highest caliber, but he had a head on his shoulders. When I was young, he'd tell me the same thing. Every 20 years, there was a monster that would emerge and gobble up any kids who wandered out while the alarms went off. This was a common story told to kids to keep them in check. A lot of people in my school were told that, and I imagine my parents were told that when they were kids, and so on. Even when I hit high school, he persisted with the story, but with some added details. I imagined that the gruesome notes were to keep me in check with when the childish version lost its luster. A fear some parents had was if the alarms went off when teens were in the woods drinking. If they were too far out, they'd never make it back in time. This isn't to say they were strict to a harsh degree, but they were often overbearing when nearing the due date. This was because there was no set day. Sure, it was known to happen every 20 years, but there was a wide variance of possible days. People tried lining up the dates to old calendars, ancient time-measuring devices, even alternate religious texts, but nothing could predict the exact time and date. So often, we all became especially cautious when we knew the days as coming up. I was nearly 23 and was a few years into my career when we were nearing the date for the next alarm. By village standard, I was considered a man, so I faintly confronted my dad to tell me what he thought the alarm was. He told me what he thought. It's a monster. I resigned myself to hearing the same story again, but this time he went into much more detail than before. He explained that every 20 years a monster came through and ate any who is found. This was much of what I'd heard before, but he went on to tell me of some of the things he'd heard. Claw marks on doors where pets were left, giant footprints on the outskirts. He said that you'd just get laughed out when these things were brought up, but a small group of people were really invested in this theory. The final point he had was about all the rumors. He brought up one I'd heard before, that wishes were granted to anyone who went out into the alarm. My dad said the head family knew of the secret and had started the rumors. He proposed this: ideas of wishes, power, and new life, all designed to get you outside during the ominous day. He had a simple answer when I asked why'd they do this. Every 20 years, it becomes hungry and needs to eat. I mentioned the pundits that have casual meetups and run community events, but during the year leading up to the big day, the members of the Church of Many go into full force. The nice, family-friendly events either wind down or are tricks to preach their word. It's almost like the cliche of a timeshare getaway. I was looking for a nice day out with my girlfriend of 3 years. Though we went to the same school, we met a few years after. Things were well, so I wanted to splash out on something nice. Our usual nice day out was to go to the steakhouse and get something fancy from the evening menu. The guy running the place was really nice, and if he knew it was a special day, he'd treat you right. He made a lot of business from being known as the place to go during a special day. Though you should never lie to him. If he found out you lied about your birthday or anniversary just to get some preferential treatment, you'd never get the privilege again. Like I said, everyone knew everyone, and if word traveled enough, you could have a rough time in the village for a few years until you got your reputation back. Wendy and I were up for the same routine, but I saw a poster on the village board about a pop-up food place on my way to work. It promised foreign food and foreign entertainment. I'm sure it's normal for you to treat yourself to a Chinese food at the end of a night of drinking, but here that was a luxury. To have tasted outside food was something you could talk about for many years with the heated interest of many. You'd have people lying about trying things just to gain a foothold on the social ladder. So when word of a traveling Vietnamese diner was put up, I immediately put in for it. Not many people got in, but I aggressively brought up my special day and just about squeezed in. It was the talk of the town, and I found out a lot of people that I knew were going. All seemed to be about my age. Even though I wanted this to be about Wendy, I asked my parents if they wanted to go too. But it was strange. Even though they were on the camp of always wanting to try something foreign, they quickly refused. Wendy's parents did the same. We should have picked up on how strange this was, but we couldn't piece together a good reason. The day came and everyone was tense. We were seated in a small auditorium with tables and chairs arranged so that you could see the stage. We all assumed this was to see the entertainment, which we waited eagerly. The lights dropped and spots were shown on the stage. We were introduced to the head chef, a man with a complexion that was unlike anything we'd ever seen, a very distinct eye shape and jet black hair. He was the real deal. But then he was joined with others and it was clear what we'd fallen for. Besides him were two pundits from the Church of Many. They introduced the chef and the itinerary of the evening. Some people were looking around, seeing if they could get out in time, but it was too late. The lights came on and around us other members of the church. They were dressed in flares of abnormal red clothes, their faces were rubbed with a tinge of yellowed powder, and they had taped their eyes on the sides to be more narrow, a caricature of the man on stage. The head chef seemed very displeased at this but must have heavily compensated to put up with our small village shenanigans. The chef was led to the back and the evening commenced. The heavy propaganda that ran the whole night drowned out smells of exciting spices. Members of the church came up and had many segments throughout the night. Throughout the years, they ran many festivals that celebrated local culture. One segment was about their contributions to the growth of the town. Raising a family here was very prospective due to the many great events they organized. This appealed to the family-oriented people of the crowd. They also ran events highlighting local-made produce that produced local craftsmen, furniture, artisan alcohols, fresh foods. It was common to have a personal skill on top of your primary career, so to be part of that growth really appealed to the hard workers. If you ever needed help, the Church of Many were there. One woman had an accident in which a heavy piece of furniture was dropped and crushed her leg. Her career died on that day along with her dreams of dancing. So the church ran a fundraiser for her to receive outside help. With the help of a hospital many miles away, she managed to regain some of her leg function. To this day, she still leads a healthy life. They hit all the check boxes. Despite the deceptive nature of the event, they didn't sound too bad. Then they had a segment appealing to the less active people of the crowd. You can drink in the mornings during the meetings, 3 days a week if you join. It was all allowed on workdays due to religious reasons as sanctioned by the head family. The rule of thumb was to not get belligerent, but anything before that is open game. Again, this turned some heads. It had people thinking maybe it's not as bad as some said. Fear of the unknown is big and circulates predominantly in talkative circles. The Church of Many always had an odd reputation where you never knew what their true intentions lay. Their nature was very relaxed, but they had some serious and unknown religious practices. It seemed you only got full details if you were in, and even then, you had to be a long-time member before you got any critical information. This caused a lot of distrust from some of the more opposed members of the public. The food came out and it was divine. I don't even remember what it was called, nor do I fully remember even what meat it was. It was a blast of spices and sauces mixed in a way utterly alien to our meat and potatoes culture. The reaction was visceral at how shocking it was. Some people cried tears of joy at having had such an experience. But after this, it was only downhill from there. They had more segments on stage. We were receptive to such a fantastic meal and very persuasive points. But this is where it started to get a bit crazy. They raved about the truth of it all, how we could be free from our mental prisons. They put down the common man as being ignorant to higher truths. Simple salvation could be had if you joined. The eldest of the group came out, old man Ezekiel. He had lived through 4 alarms, the most out of anyone in the village. His beard hung low, giving him a sage appearance. He wore garb far outdated to the modern times of our province. Old man Ezekiel went on to come out with something that divided the room. He claimed he survived being outside during an alarm. He explained it was when he was but 4 years old, having been left by his mother by accident. Ezekiel claimed what he saw led him to revolutionizing the inner circle of the Church of Many, but these secrets were too much for some uninitiated. The only way to receive the blessed knowledge was to pledge your life to the church, work hard, and earn the highest of trust. This immediately had the room in whispers. Some family taken because of the alarm, while others had their biases and theories challenged by the notion of someone surviving. He was heckled with questions. If he survived one, why had he hidden from the others? Was anyone around who could challenge such a claim? If he had this knowledge, why hasn't he tried to stop it? He simply stood there with an all-knowing expression, and only when the commotion died down did he simply walk off stage. We received no more words. The ball was in our court. By the end, some left in a huff, having felt insulted by the ridiculous claim. Others were already fanatical about the cause, already trying to garner more interest in the divided members of the crowd. In the end, Wendy and I left. We weren't 100% opposed to the church, but we hadn't had the drive to seek more direct answers. When we got home, my dad was there to greet me. He asked me how the food was, but I knew he knew what it was about. He explained what the whole thing was. Every 20 years, they did something like this. They'd run a highly desirable event that garners vast amounts of interest, and it's all to push for new members. Those who went to a previous one or knew about it were forbidden to warn the newer generation, and so he had to sit there and let us go, along with the others who we told. Nearing the coming day, you can feel it coming. There's electricity in the air. Less and less events happen the longer the 20th year goes on. People know to keep their schedules open in case they're caught unaware. Even the church quietens down their excursions in fear of accidentally getting people trapped outside when it happens. But even then, there are the parties. Some parties and meetups happen close to the bunker during the coming months. These events have strict rules to keep running. It sounds weird, but it's encouraged by the head family. I reckon it's to keep our small economy stimulated. If not enough people spend, money gets held up and bottlenecked. There can be music and musicians are hired, but it can't be too loud. You can drink, but no hard liquor, and there's an unwritten rule to never get belligerently drunk. In the past, there have been those reported to have drunkenly slept through an alarm and went missing from not getting in the bunker. Though there's a somber air to these meetups, it's still a much-needed social energy. It can feel like months of waiting, so going that long without any stimulation can drive one stir crazy. It's normal to keep your circle of friends from school well after school has ended, which was the case for me. Every time I went to one of these events, I'd see familiar faces. Edna, who I mentioned before, Kyle, who was in my form, Watson, who was often on my walk to school, and Steg, whom I'd known since kindergarten. Up until then, talk about the alarm had dried up. Everyone had said their piece many times, and there was never any new information to spark more ideas. But when we knew the day was coming, it'd creep back into conversation like old times. Being more mature, our conversations dropped from the wild notions to more talking about getting past it. We knew the consequences of not following the rules. Other than Ezekiel, no one has ever survived being outside during the alarm, and even then, his claim was heavily scrutinized. We all agreed to just behave until then, keep a low profile, and get past it. Simple, right? It turns out Kyle had other ideas. When the date was getting close, he started bringing up some of the old theories from school. He'd bring up a few but always circle back to one, that you could make a wish if you survived. Ed and I immediately flipped out about this. By then it was known what had happened to James, so it was already a bad move to bring up the alarm, but bringing up the rumor that got him killed was not cool. One time Steg went off on him for always bringing it up. We couldn't figure out what he was thinking. Kyle would try to soothe the idea that it was worth a shot, that he wanted it to be true, but Steg would have none of it. It was during one of his put-downs that Kyle spoke up. He screamed so loud the pub briefly quietened down, and all he said was, "But it could bring her back." We all knew what this meant. When Kyle was 8, his mother fell ill. It wasn't immediate, so for 3 years, he'd rush home from school every day to be with her. They were really close, so losing her really took a part of him with her. So the idea of a way to bring her back, no matter how obscene, was romanticized to him. Even though we all fell for him, we took an opposing stance. We knew it was a bad idea. To Kyle, though, the prospect of the alarm only coming every 20 years meant it was now or never. So looking back, I think there was no talking him out of it. He only told me. I was often the one to talk to him afterwards and empathize with his situation. I did this to make him feel better after a harsh berating from Steg. So I think this made him confident. So I think this made me his confidant. So one day, after a late night gathering, he took me somewhere, a small, reinforced hut near the outskirts of the village. Over the years, he built it. He'd apprenticed as a builder after finishing school, so to think he chose that career just for this was an absurd idea to me. But at this point, I wouldn't put it past him. I never said anything. I just listened. He went on to explain the rigidity of the thing. It was strong enough to withstand a bomb. The only opening was small enough to keep up the strength of the structure, and on it was a small porthole to look outside. His thinking was that he had to see and talk to whatever came to make the wish. Inside was some food and water, but not too much since it'd only need to last for one night. By his design, it couldn't be locked from the outside. This is to allow fast access when the time comes. Trust was common in the village, so locks were often not needed. However, it could be locked from the inside, and it was a rigid lock. He let me test it, and when it was bolted, my full force barely shook the thing. To say it was solid was an understatement. Then the day came. When it was time, you knew. The alarms made a winding up sound like they were warming up. This was your cue to get to the bunker as soon as possible. I saw everyone moving in unison, all making their way calmly but hastily to the one place drilled into us from birth. But while making my way there, I noticed him, and only because I knew to look out for him. But there he was, Kyle, slinking away in the opposite direction. I knew where he was going, and looking back, I could have stopped. Sure, he could have still escaped if we went after him, but he trusted me when he confided in me his idea. To break that would have challenged my honor of being a friend, something a lot of people took seriously. So I just gave him a subtle nod and wished him Godspeed. The mood in the bunker is something you can't explain. Only when you experience it does it fully sink in what's truly happening. An alarm is going off while the whole population is hunkered together. But something they never tell you about is the commotions that inevitably start. A couple started raving that they had left their pet. They were causing a commotion by the door, begging to be let out while the alarms were still just winding, but they were obviously refused exit. Then a woman started screaming. She met up with the kids brought in from the school but couldn't find her son. The teacher explained that he had just slipped away from the class. It was protocol to not go back. There were too many examples of losing a teacher along with a kid when this happened, so it was drilled into them to never go back. This sounds pragmatic on paper, but seeing the pain from a screaming parent berate them will forever stay with me. At first, when I saw the burly crew that operated the doors, I was intimidated by their presence. They were the leading team of the local police force. Crime wasn't a common thing in the village, and when there was an accident, it was often just a civil case that was resolved with words, not action. So when you had a small team constantly trained in physical combat, it was rumored that it was just for this instance, the manning of the door during the alarm. It's easy to think it's just a precaution, but witnessing it in person, I was thankful for the time they put into sculpting their life for this very moment. Holding down 1 or 2 people is easy for someone strong, but when the parents corralled other parents into their cause to get out and rescue their kid, to see the efficiency of the coup being put down was like a well-oiled machine. You'd think they'd be at their limit when it was nearly 2-on-1 per bouncer, but the number grew when another incident happened that they never warned you about, the knocks. The alarms started and they were loud. You had to talk just below a shout to be heard, so when you heard faint knocking from the door, you knew they were hitting hard. Only when you listened closely could you hear them. People left outside, having not made it in time, just outside the door. Though you couldn't hear the words, you could hear to the pleading in the voice, begging to be let in. Terms of desperation screamed as loud as they could. Obviously, the humanitarian of the bunch raised a commotion about this. They yelled at the bouncers to quickly open the door and let them in. It'd only be for a few seconds if they were fast. Still subjugating the rioting parents, it was amazing to see how they could still overpower this new group causing an uprising. All the while, seeing how serious they were taking things in the bunker, all I could think of was Kyle. At first, I didn't realize it, but eventually the screaming and bashing outside stopped. Not just petered off, it just stopped. Yet the alarms still rang. They rang for a solid hour before slowing down back into its wind-up sound, then dying down entirely. We all stood there in silence for a moment, taking everything in. Almost in disbelief that it was over. 20 years of build-up just for that 1 hour. But there'd be no reports in the past of a false end or a double alarm, so not long after, the doors were opened and we were free to leave. The held down and rambunctious lot were let go with no warning or punishment. It seemed understandable that it was to happen, almost inevitable, a high point of emotion but not held against them. Though scratched up and bruised, they left without a whisper. Elders from the Church of Many loudly raved celebratory words of another successful alarm, though they were largely ignored. Most went back into their daily routine, but I slipped away with one place in mind. I got to Kyle's bunker and knocked as much as I could. I berated with questions, if he was in there, if he was okay, to just make a sound, anything. But I heard nothing. I peeked inside through the tiny porthole to try to see him. The porthole offered a wide view of the small room. If he was in there, I'd see him. Then I tried the last thing I could do. I pushed the door open. I pushed the door to open it, and it was locked. Wait, that's the end? Wait, what? Yo, excuse me. Excuse me. Sir? What? That's the end. No, cliffhanger. No. No. What? Wait, is this like part 1? But this is March. This is March. Where's my part 2? What just happened? No, guys, this is way too confusing for me. Excuse me? What? I am so confused. I was like, okay, this is highly rated. I'm gonna read it. I'm sure it's a complete story. No. What is this? No. Excuse me, sir? Excuse me? Where rest? Where more? Hello? Conclusion? I'm Angie. No! I think that's the nightmare, guys. I think the nightmare is the fact that it's this cliffhanger ending and you'll never know. You'll never freaking know. It'll never know. Eh? Are you serious right now? Man, what did I just... I didn't realize this. Okay, when I skimmed through it earlier, I didn't read it. So when I try not to read it when I'm skimming through. I just check for any trigger warnings. So there was no trigger warnings. I was like, okay, good. And I was like, okay, it's not too long. Read through. No, it's long. This is long. He accidentally locked himself out of the room. No! I automatically give this a 2 out of 10. How dare you cliffhanger me? The nerve of this human, the nerve of this being to do this to me. I will yeet. I will yeet. Tip, when the alarm goes off, just have someone hit the snooze button. Ooh. 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 If Cal vanished from inside his own bunker without the entity actually getting through the door, that means the entity must be totally capable of making people vanish from inside the town's bunker. And that means there's something special about the town's bunker, or the entire entity purposely ignores the town bunker. Maybe a deal, or the church has something to do directly with the entity. Or 3, what actually avoids people from vanishing isn't getting into the town's bunker at all. What do you think? I'm not sure. This is too... I'm too confused. I'm sorry. This is... Maybe it's because it's the first one we're reading today and my brain is just out of it. I am too confused. I know. No. So, was Kyle alive or not? And why did nobody think of having a camera? The pragmatic person over here. Guys, is it just me? Did the names suddenly come back? Wasn't there no names in this Discord? What am I saying? Not Discord. Sorry, Reddit? What happened? Suddenly the names are back. Suddenly, like, I can see stuff. Suddenly everything is back. Weren't the names not here earlier? 4 out of 10 for the angry. Got along. Guys, if you wake up and hear your alarm in the morning, it's just gonna... No, you know when like you're sleeping still and the alarm goes off and it appears in your dream because you're not fully like even close to being awake yet? I think that's what this would make me like stressed out about. Like, what if it's actually like an emergency alarm and I'm totally passed out? I feel kind of like it was like, I feel like there was a lot of pieces and I don't know how they're supposed to connect. And I'm one of those people that's not a fan of random pieces that are completely unnecessary inside a story. I don't mind if I have to wait like novels and novels. Like, I have a series I really like that I read, and sometimes something that happens in the first or second novel will appear in the 4th or 5th novel. So I don't mind stuff like that, but like, I don't like it when not everything has to be tied together, but to some degree, if there's like large pieces of information, like there has to be a point for it. And I feel like a little lost right now. I think for me, this is like a 2 out of 10. Too many details. Too many details. Alright, I just thought this is a new horror game called Reddit. Rain, I'm pretty sure Reddit itself is a whole horror game for many of us. It's a horror game because when I open it, I'm faced with many realities I don't want to face. Plot twist, yeah, he accidentally had a good thing I was born. Second sentence, I was so like confused through the whole thing, but I don't want to stop in the middle when I'm reading. As I was reading, I was like, ah. I was like, I can see this going long and then not connecting, and it in fact did not connect in the end. I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed by this one. I was expecting like something really cool for 7.6k upvotes, but like, I think the writing is kind of interesting and I like the concept or maybe the premise of like this alarm in this town, but like, what is happening? What? I need explanation. Okay. The writing was quite good, but yes, the ending sucks. Fell with the absolute straightforward. Kai, 4/10 for the angry. Yeah. Angry. Anyone else? 7 out of 10? Fell says 7 out of 10. Jury says 3 out of 10. We have only a few ratings. People were like 2, but I was like, I'm done with this. 2 out of 10. Cool story, though. 2 out of 10. Cool story, bro. Reddit is like early access deep web, potentially. Jay, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? 6 out of 10. Ryan, you like, I have a story, but I don't think you'll get it, and it's short. No, you can put it in the, actually there was another story. I think Lawrence put a story. I'll like collect them all and put them in a different, read them at a different point. But you can share it in the Discord recommended at some point. Foss, if that's okay. 10 out of 10. Very cute fairy. Thank you. I don't mean me. I mean the story. 0 out of 10 didn't reach anything. I feel you, Lawrence. I feel so let down. How many minutes did I spend reading this? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna move on from this one. I want to unread it right now. The concept is good, but it feels exactly like there's some ideas in there, but I need a story, guys. 0 out of 10, no Choco mention. No, that's not a 0 out of 10. That's a negative bajillion out of 10. No Choco mention. Get out of here. Okay. I think this one's a good one to go. I like this one. This one's short too, so I was like, oh, let me do something shorter now. I need a reading break. Girlfriend voice out of 10. What? What are you talking about? I still don't fully understand what you guys mean when you say that. Okay. Next story. Now that we've warmed up and are on the edge of our seats in frustration from that last one. Next one. Okay. I taught my dog to talk through buttons, and now I wish I hadn't. I taught my dog to talk, not with her voice, but with her paws. I own a 3-year-old Bicon Frise called Gidget. They are a remarkably intelligent breed despite their yappy image. I taught her from a young age to do tricks and obey commands, and she was a bright and eager student. I always felt she had a lot to say, so when I saw videos on TikTok and Instagram of dogs who used programmed buttons to indicate their needs, I thought I might try it with Gidget. I bought a pack, recorded my voice on the buttons. I kept it simple at first. I gave her buttons to make requests and to ask for things outside, food, water, treat, play. After she had mastered those, I added more. I gave her options about where she wanted to go, what things she wanted to eat. She soon learned to pair the buttons up: outside, park, food, chicken. It was amazing to hear her preferences, to know why she whined or barked. As she grew more confident, I added more buttons. These were more philosophical and used concepts rather than nouns and verbs. I wasn't sure Gidget would be able to understand them, but she picked them up so quickly I wished I had introduced them sooner. We discussed the weather, dreams, emotions. She was soon able to tell me if she was happy or sad, tell me if she'd had a bad dream, and ask for a particular toy for her playtime. I became obsessed. Her little brain was able to express so much more than I'd ever suspected. I added more buttons. Soon she was able to tell me her mood, ask pertinent questions with the why button, make decisions based on what I suggested. She also liked to look out of the window and tell me what she saw. It was so interesting. Whilst I might look out of the window and see my neighbor carrying groceries from his car, Gidget would watch the same scene and tell me about the bird she had spotted or a stray leaf she had seen caught by the wind. I was able to see the world through her eyes. She'd been using her buttons to talk for over a year before things started to get disturbing. One day, she stopped playing with her favorite toy, looked in a corner, and walked over to her board. Very deliberately, she selected the button for dark. I laughed. It was daytime and the sunlight was shining into every corner. No dark, I told her. Light. It's daytime. No dark. I used the buttons to reinforce my message. No, dark, light, day. Gidget listened, but turned her little head back to the corner. After a few minutes, she came back to her board. Dark, she said again. I'm afraid, I shrugged. Shrugged off her words and the message behind them. I may have even laughed. No dark, I said. Light. Gidget humored me. She was a very clever dog. Sometimes whilst we played, she would stop and examine a random wall, hover by her word board ready to tell me what she saw, but my previous reaction must have discouraged her. Time and again, she would stamp on the button for dark, and I would look at where she looked and deny it. I added more buttons, and with those buttons came more unease. Dark. Stranger. No. Cold. I'd stand where she looked to show her it was okay. She would whine and cry and hit the stranger button. It upset me a lot. After a while, Gidget stopped using her buttons. She regressed. She stopped asking outside and would whine at the door instead. She stopped asking food and would stand by her bowl and cry. I didn't know where I had gone wrong. I stood in the corner she hated more often, trying to understand why she hated it. It was cold there, colder than anywhere else in our home, but very welcoming. I found it soothing for some reason, but the more I stood there, the more she cried. It started to get annoying. It was just a stupid corner. I'm not sure what to do. Update. Gidget has regressed even more. She has started peeing in the house, which is incredibly frustrating. At first I brushed it off, then I took her to the vets. The vet said there was nothing physically wrong with her and she seemed stressed. She's a dog? What has a dog got to be stressed about? I'm getting sick of cleaning up puddles of pee. I feel like I should punish her. Update 2. Gidget won't come near me now. I hold my hand out to coax her. She turns away. Idiot animal. I remember that I loved her once, but that was before I realized how useless she was. She won't even love me, the main reason I got a dog in the first place. I spend more time in my corner and watch the little fluffy beast cringe in her bed. The bed I bought her that she doesn't deserve. I'm watching her now. I've been staring at her for hours now, and she has done nothing except shake and cry. She used her buttons for the first time in ages earlier. Where am Mom? Mom, bye. Stupid creature. Can't she see I'm right here? Or is it too dark? No! This makes me so sad! No, I'ma cry. This makes me so sad. I really like this one. It makes me so sad. Yeah, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. There's updates. I don't know if I want to read the. Now I have to find a dog. I like the comments. Now I have to find a dog to hug really tight. I have to currently sucking up to mine who's fast asleep. You leave Gidget alone. Glad my pup is sleeping safely next to me. Don't you dare hurt the puppy. This makes you. Please stop it. This right here sums up my entire emotions right now. This is all I feel. This is all I feel. But you notice like the what is it, the owner, the author's feelings, or like what is it, love for the dogs starts to like kind of progressively gets like, it disappears more and more as we go down, right? Like as the owner stands in the corner, it gets like, they get more and more, what is it, cold towards their pupper. You don't deserve Gidget. I'll take Gidget. You don't. No, I want intelligent pupper. You can go stand in your stupid corner. Nobody's saying you can't stand in your stupid corner. I'm angry sad right now. What's a dog got to be stressed about got me angry? I know. I'm so mad. This is 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I'm so angry right now. Man. Okay. We're fine. Okay, thoughts. Should we read the continuations? Let me see how long it kind of is. There's it's a little. Oh, this is long. Oh, this is not too long. Should we do we want to? Okay, Foss. Thanks, Foss. No worries. I'll check it out at some point soon. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do a quick poll to ask you guys if you want to read the continuation on this one, because I know I kind of like it, but should we read part 2? Yeah. I'm kind of lost. You're kind of lost? Rain, what are you lost? What's wrong? What can I explain? It's not realistic to me, but the writing and creepiness was amazing, right? Yeah, it's not really realistic. Maybe the dog. No. The owner hasn't died. The owner has. Wait, hold on. I take that back. I'm not sure. The owner has become different. I think that's what we could say for sure. Is that the owner has become different, right? The owner. I think it's because the dog kept saying that there was something wrong with the corner, right? The dog kept pointing at the corner, like what is it? Looking at the corner and feeling like it was dark and cold and scary or something like that, right? But the owner kept standing there trying to figure it out, and as the owner kept standing there, I think that the owner got more and more, like the owner became different. Yeah, we must know what happened to the doggo and the others. Okay, we gotta know what happened to doggo. I am here for the next part of doggo. Okay. Next part, we shall continue the story. I'm the friend of Gidget's mom. You may have read her story. I'm here to update and to ask for advice. My friend isn't in any condition to update her story as far as I can tell. She apparently posted a second update that some of you may have seen, but it was removed shortly after posting. I can only imagine what she wrote in it. If you want to read the original part of her story, it is here. I don't want to use her name, but you will know her as Gidget's mom, so I'll call her GM. As for myself, I am a friend who took Gidget away. GM hadn't checked in with our circle of friends for days when I decided to go see her. We have a group chat we all access daily, but she had been absent from it for too long and hadn't responded to a single message aimed at her. I lived the closest, so I volunteered to go and check up on her. When she answered the door, I was horrified at what I saw. GM is normally a very tidy person who takes great care in her appearance, but when I saw her, she looked terrible. There were vast dark circles under her eyes, and her clothes were covered in stains. She let me in, and as she turned away from me, I noticed that her hair on the back of her head was matted as if she hadn't brushed it for weeks. Even though her curtains were still drawn at 3 p.m., I could see enough in the dim light to ascertain that her home was as messy as she was. There were dirty plates piled up on the floor, stale food congealing on them, and for some reason she had put a blanket over the mirror above her fireplace. What shocked me more was the state of Gidget, though. It was a running joke in our friend group that GM treated Gidget like her baby. Gidget was completely spoiled and pampered with regular visits to groomers and an entire wardrobe of little outfits, but the small white scrap I saw cowering in her filthy bed didn't look like the princess I'd come to know and love. Gidget looked like one of those dogs they used in adverts for animal charities. She was trembling when I saw her, but she still managed to wag her tail, giving me a warmer welcome than GM had given, and she scuttled out of her bed, coming towards me in an awkward, crouching gait I'd never seen her use before. I don't know much about dog body language, but it was clear to me that Gidget was badly frightened of something. Or someone. I didn't like to imagine what had been going on, but judging from GM's appearance and the state of her home and beloved pet, it was an understatement to say that something was terribly wrong. I'm afraid I assumed that GM was depressed. It wasn't something she was prone to my knowledge, but there was a first time for everything. I tried to be as upbeat as possible. I didn't mention how awful GM looked, but I did instinctively start to tidy up a little. I didn't know what else to do. I bustled around her flat, picking things up, recounting such news of our other friends' activities I thought she'd like to hear. GM's silence was unsettling, and being around her made the hairs on my arms prickle. It was ridiculous, but I have to admit that I was scared of her. Something was incredibly off. Not just the mess, or the sour smell, or GM's withdrawal. Not even Gidget's cowed attitude, which I probably could have explained had I not wanted to consider what GM might have put her through. GM has always been, a very sweet person, totally devoted to her dog. I didn't want to think that, in her current state, she might have abused her baby, but I couldn't completely discount it. I felt her behind me as I tidied her kitchen. She stank, a reek like rotten meat, body odor, and old piss. I tried to keep up my chatter so she wouldn't know something was wrong, and for some reason it was very important. She didn't know that something was wrong. She was like a dark shadow hanging over me, looming, in fact. At one point I turned and saw a big steak knife laying unattended and put it in the dishwasher just for something to do, so I wouldn't have to make eye contact. Now I was there, I regretted coming. It made me sick to my stomach to be in her presence. The feeling of unease I'd felt upon entering had only gotten worse. I looked around her flat for an excuse to do something else and saw a little puddle on the hardwood floor. It looked very much like Gidget had peed there. I hoped it had been Gidget and not GM. I made my way to the mop, but GM stopped me. She was very distressed, her face right up to mine, and I could smell her breath. It was sweet with rot, thick with something meaty. She told me she didn't want me to do anything else, not with her voice, but with her eyes. And despite the danger I felt coming off her in waves, as strong as her body odor, I couldn't just leave. I told her I wanted to help her, or something like that. I was in no fit state to form a coherent argument. "You can do something for me," she said, and it was then I realized it was the first time she had spoken since I'd entered her flat. Her voice sounded strange, although strange isn't a deep enough word to describe it. It was guttural and thick, as though she was holding phlegm in the back of her throat, and the words were bubbling through. It was the voice an open grave would have if it could speak. The voice of a basement door covered with cobwebs held ajar with a spike of bone as a doorstep. I asked her what she wanted me to do for her, and her eyes flickered then. Maybe it was just the poor lighting, but for a moment it looked as though she had a second set of eyelids beneath her usual ones, like a crocodile, almost transparent but with a smoky glaze to them. One corner of her mouth twitched as if she wanted to smile, but then her face became serious again. Her lips moved without a sound, and now her eyes bulged a little as she huffed rancid breath against my skin. There was a struggling going on inside my friend, and I hoped she was winning. "Take Gidget," she said, coughing the words out as if they hurt her. She was holding my arm so tightly it hurt, pinching the nerve by my elbow until I felt my arm go numb to the shoulder. I can't remember what else was said. All I know is I wanted to leave, and quickly, and I wanted to take Gidget with me. I packed what I could as quickly as I could. The most important things like Gidget's bowls and food and bed and the other usual stuff like her toys and leash and harness, along with some of her cute little coats. I was ready to go when GM, sitting on her couch and watching me with a blank expression, urged me to take Gidget's talking board too. I hadn't even thought of it, but it made sense. I'd always been enthralled by Gidget's board and the way she communicated. It would be fun. I grappled everything into bags, breaking the board down so I could assemble it again at my house, and made my exit. Walking out of the front door made me feel as though I'd escaped, though from what, I couldn't tell you. It was just such a relief. Gidget stopped to look back before the door swung closed behind us, but I didn't. I was focused on getting out. Every step I took to get away from GM was lighter than the one before. I never thought I would shirk my duties to a friend, that I'd be so eager to leave someone in distress, but I knew GM couldn't be talked down and plied with ice cream and chick flicks to get her out of her mood. My shoulder, which had felt many tears upon it over the years, did not want to accommodate GM right now. Gidget relaxed somewhat once she was in my car, but she still looked over her shoulder as I drove away. I couldn't understand her urge to look. Personally, I didn't even want to see that building again. I've read about women who have been kept prisoner in places for years at a time. Colleen Stan, Elizabeth Fritzl, Michelle Knight. It was a fascination of mine. I could only imagine how those women would have felt looking at the houses they'd been kept in after their escape. And I had nothing to compare to their ordeal, but to look back at GM's building was unthinkable. I couldn't do it. Back at my house, I took stock of Gidget's condition properly. She was bedraggled and somehow shrunk into herself, but there was nothing that a bath and a decent meal couldn't sort out. Gidget had been through a tough time, but I couldn't see signs of abuse, only short-term neglect. I bathed her, oh my goodness. I bathed her, both us getting soaked amongst the bubbles of her shampoo, and toweled her dry in front of my fireplace. She seemed a lot perkier than she had at her own home, and even accepted some of her expensive food, though not as much as I'd hoped. It was probably more for my benefit than hers that I wrapped her in a blanket and cuddled her on my lap, but it did both of us good, and after a couple of hours of snuggles, she was confident enough to wriggle from my grasp and approach the bag that held her board. I dismantled it in a hurry and hadn't reassembled it yet, but she sniffed at the corner of the board sticking out and looked at me expectantly. A very real part of me did not want to put her board together again. I didn't want to know what she wanted to tell me, but the little frill of her tail twitched and her fluffy cheeks puffed out to express a single, polite woof. I couldn't deny her. I laid the board out, clicking the panels into place, and repositioned any loose buttons before returning to my chair and turning on the TV. Gidget stood by her board for a while, considering her options, and I half watched her, hoping she would only ask for a treat. But Gidget had more serious stuff in mind. "Mom, gone." She pressed the buttons with her little paw, then gazed at me, trying to ascertain whether I'd registered her comment. I smiled a false smile that hurt my face and replied too brightly, "Yes, Mom gone, at Auntie X's house now." I didn't know it was possible for a dog to look frustrated, but she was patient with me. She examined her board again, thinking, then selected some more buttons. "Mom, dark, stranger, gone." I felt hot, like Gidget's words had turned the fire up a notch. I pretended I hadn't heard the buttons and concentrated on the voice, the one on TV, not the one asking to get into my head. "Stranger." Gidget didn't just press the button, she stamped on it, emitting a little aggravated snort. "Dark, stranger, Mom. Bye, Mom." A glance at me then. "Help, Mom. Bye, stranger." I pretended I didn't know what she meant. I laughed, a sound that was jagged and false. "Bedtime now," I told her, turning off the TV. "Do you want to sleep with Auntie X?" Gidget regarded me for a long time, then appeared to give the dog version of a shrug. She sighed and plodded towards my bedroom, not looking at me. I'd let her down, but it appeared Gidget was a lot braver than I am. I didn't sleep well. Gidget's warm little body was a comfort next to me, but my dreams were full of troubling, indistinct images. I tossed and turned all night, waking often, and every time I woke, I would stare at the vague rectangle of my bedroom door, expecting it to be open. I dreamed that someone was leaning over me, someone with negative intent, someone with breath that was scalding hot yet made frost form on my face. More than once, I woke up to find out I had pulled either the covers or my own pillow over my head, as though I was hiding from something. My sleep that night was ragged and sparse, and when the sun finally rose, I was wearier than when I'd gone to bed. I didn't want to experience a night like that again. I made coffee in the gray pre-dawn light. I didn't even think about going back to bed. Gidget joined me, looking as tired as I felt. Her perfect little white curls were scruffy and flat, her ears droopy. She didn't look at me for comfort as I looked at her, but went straight to her board and yawned before pressing her buttons. "Help! Mom! Bye, stranger." She flopped down onto the floor by her board, exhausted. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have the energy. I sat down with my coffee and stared at the blank TV. I thought that I should call some of our friends, but it was far too early. Everyone would be asleep. Everyone except whoever it was ringing my doorbell. I thought it might be the postman, though he had never called so early. Barely awake, I put my cup down and heaved myself out of my chair. Gidget was up and alert all of a sudden, staring at the door, her little body rigid with a slight tremor running down her spine. "No." She stepped on the button as I walked towards the door. "It's okay, Gidget," I told her, still sleepy. "Auntie X get door." "No, no, no, no." She pummeled it repeatedly, ears flapping as she bounced. "Stranger, no." I looked through the spy hole in my door. It gave me a fisheye lens view of everything outside. Someone was standing slightly to the left of my door, just out of sight. I lifted my head to release the deadbolt, and again Gidget stamped on the "no" button. The imperative voice behind the robotic voice made me pause. It was a recorded version of GM's voice, made unnatural by the repetition, and the more Gidget stamped on it, the more desperate it sounded. I squinted through the peephole again. I could see a shoulder and most of an arm. "Who is it?" I asked. Never had I asked for identification before. The figure on my step moved, came into view. It was GM, looking as scruffy as she had before. She was smiling, an expression that looked strange on her crusty face, and one arm was behind her back. The other arm reached up, the attached hand ringing the doorbell again. "It's me, X," she said, sounding exactly how she should, her voice normal now. "I'm feeling better. I've come to get Gidget." It should have been a relief. GM sounded fine, and I was already exhausted from looking after Gidget. But I did take my hand down from the deadbolt. Gidget was frantic now, pouncing on her buttons just out of my line of vision. GM's metallic voice spoke to me over and over. "No, stranger, no, Mom, stranger, dark, no." I sighed, put my head against the cool wood of my front door. "I can't let you in, GM," I said. "I don't know why, but I can't." Something thumped against the outside of the door, right where my head was placed. I moved, then stepped away, just a split second before the point of a knife appeared, piercing the wood. I stared at it without comprehension and watched as it disappeared again. "Open the door, X," said the voice from the other side. No. I couldn't tell if it was me or the voice from Gidget's board who spoke, but it didn't matter. The thing on my porch screamed, and I heard rapid footsteps. When I looked outside again, GM was gone. Swaying on my feet, I wondered if I had locked the back door before going to bed last night. I usually did. I'm hoping I did. But I did hear a weird squeal just now that sounded like the old hinges on my back door opening. It might just be my imagination. But for now, I am crouched in my bedroom, Gidget close by my knee, and her entire attention is trained on my bedroom door. I feel like I should call the police, but I also feel like writing this down is more important. Strange. I can hear noises in my house. What should I do? I mean, it's only my friend out there, if anything. Okay. Listen. I'm gonna read the comments to not deal with how I feel right now. Listen to Gidget, your friend needs an exorcism. You better keep Gidget safe, get out of there, drive a couple towns over or something. This is, I don't know what it is, guys. Reddit greater than police. 10 out of 10. No, that arm behind her back is definitely holding a knife, right? Definitely. No, open, 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 open. No, wait, no. Is that nope? Nope. 10 out of 10. Better call Ghostbusters. Wow, 10 out of 10. Isn't this good? This is so good. We should have started with this. It's okay. We started with something to whet our appetite in the best way possible. It's okay. Oh my god, this is so good. There's more though. Oh my gosh, sorry. I poked myself by accident. That hurt. Sorry. There's more. There's more. Should we read part 3 and part 4? This is so good. This is so good. Oh, this is so good. Should we read more? More? Okay, I need to end this poll and start another one. End poll. This guy needs a budget to make a short film, right? What is it? Gigi part 3. You know what I'll do after this stream, and I know, sorry if I stutter a little while reading. I'm reading all of these for the first time, so, and I can't re-record stuff obviously, but I was thinking what I'll do is I'll put chapters for this stream and last stream, so if you guys want to re-listen to it for creepy fun, I'll put the links there so you can like skip to it next time. The story is really good, right? Don't show this to Netflix. Oh, no, guys, this is just so good. I kind of want to clip this and make it its own little little video on this channel so that, and then link back to the author and put it there. I feel like this one is so good. I love it so much so far. I guess this could be for the most. This one was good to start with, right? Spooky short. Yeah, this one is good. This one is really good. Okay, I'll give it a couple seconds for you guys to tell me if you want part 3, and I'll drink water while I do this. Rose should act this? Am I acting? No, what? Am I not? What? I see 100% yes right now. Come on, guys, 11? I know there's like 3 times as many of you here. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? I'll give it a few more seconds. Yeah, drink your water. Okay, I'm gonna talk about something really, really random and unrelated while I wait for your votes really quick. I got a new toothpaste, okay? This is going somewhere, listen. I got a new toothpaste. I went to the store. So usually with toothpaste, I usually just use whatever my parents get at Fairy Costco. My parents just get like a pack of toothpaste at Fairy Costco. I just use that, right? But for the first time in a while, I forgot to bring toothpaste from the fairy world. And I know you might be like, Ro, why do you need to bring toothpaste from the fairy world? I don't, but it's like we have it anyway, and like I might as well just bring it with me so I don't have to go buy toothpaste. It's like one little box of toothpaste, right? So I forgot to bring toothpaste this time. And so I was like, oh frick, I have to go to the store and get toothpaste. So I went to the store, and the toothpaste was behind a bunch of like lock boxes because they don't want people stealing toothpaste. So I looked at the toothpaste and I was like, oh, I'll just grab one. I asked the attendant, could you please open the lock box so I can grab some toothpaste? And when they opened it, I suddenly was like, oh my gosh, wait, which one am I supposed to pick? And so I looked at the guy, and he looked at me. I looked at the guy, and I was like, what toothpaste do you recommend? And he just looked at me for a second, and he was like, and he just started laughing so hard. And he was like, what do you usually use? And I had this moment where I kind of blanked out in that moment because I was totally getting laughed at. I was like, I don't remember. I just use whatever my parents have. I don't remember. And he just looks at me like I'm the wrong age. And then I'm like, he probably thought I was like a freshman just starting college and like independent for the first time in my life. I was just like, and he was like, no, just pick one. They're all the same. So I picked one. But I picked this tiny one, and it was good, but it was expensive. And that's the end of that little part of the story. But wait, there's more. So then the other day I went to the store, and I was like, no, this time I'm not gonna, I ran out of my tiny little toothpaste. The big version of it is kind of expensive. So I was like, okay, I'll just get whatever's cheap at the store. So I got this cheap toothpaste, and I came home, and the point of this entire story is to say that my cheap toothpaste that I picked randomly makes me, I don't know what it is, but I think it makes me nauseous because it tastes really funny. And like, it also didn't have, like, they have, like, the tamper little cap on it where, like, it has, like, a little seal on it to prevent tampering. It didn't have that. But I was like, it's probably fine. Like, I was like, and it just makes me nauseous whenever I use, and so I was like, I need to get new toothpaste. Okay, that is all. That is my story. Thank you for listening. I'll end the poll now. That was my story. That was all. That was all. My story was I got laughed at while getting toothpaste once, and then the other day when I got toothpaste, I got a toothpaste that makes me nauseous. That is it. That is all. That is my story. I'm a fairy adult who struggles with human toothpaste. Okay, it doesn't mix with my me. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue the story. I hope you like the little side advertisement, side story right now. So I am half in a mood to toss this. I don't really like waste stuff, but I feel like I need to toss this toothpaste and get a new toothpaste because I don't like the taste of this toothpaste. I don't know what it is. Every time I brush my teeth, it like makes me feel sick. Like after I'm fine for like an hour, like after I brush my teeth, but for like rest of the day, like I start to feel like nauseous, and I think it's because of toothpaste. That is all. Okay. So, part 3. It seems like we want part 3, so I shall continue to read part 3. Okay. If you know about Gidget, you might want to read this. If you're not caught up, I suggest you follow the link. It hurts to write this. Let me restart now that the guys outside are done joyriding. If you know about Gidget, you might want to read this. If you're not caught up, I suggest you follow the link. It hurts to write this, not just physically, but that too. I'm covered in bruises, and there may be some cuts too, but I'm alive. And so is Gidget. I know most of you are more worried about Gidget. This may take more than one update. I have a lot to process, plus I am in hospital, so I beg for your patience. After my last post, I did the sensible thing. I called the police. I sat hunched in my own bedroom with furniture in front of the door and my friend's dog huddled by me and called the police. I stayed where I was, on the phone to the woman on dispatch, and listened to the police tear through my house. There was no dramatic gunfights. I live in England, after all, but there were some impressive sounding footfalls pounding around. It seemed to take hours before they called all clear, but after looking at my phone, I realized it had only been 10 minutes. I came out of hiding then, clutching Gidget to my side. She was very happy to see the police officers and even licked a couple of them. My back door was intact, the lock still in place, and they had gained entry through my front door, they told me. That didn't seem right to me, but I was very tired and I thought that maybe I hadn't locked my front door after all. My front door at all. Which gives me the shivers, knowing GM could have burst through anytime she wanted. They took my statement and a description of GM and asked me if I had a friend or family member I could stay with. It was heavily implied that they recommended I don't stay at my house, and I agreed. But although I did have places I could stay, GM knew most of the addresses. Maybe all of them. We were a tight-knit group and many of my friends were her friends, so I decided to stay at a motel. I packed the basics for me, and again, within hours, was packing Gidget's stuff. I made sure to pack her board. Gidget knew a lot more than I did. The place I had chosen was comfortable and anonymous. The decor was exactly what I would have expected, neutral and inoffensive, and Gidget had her own bed. She settled down quickly, not even glancing at her board, and fell asleep within minutes of our arrival. I lay awake a lot longer, listening to Gidget's high-pitched snores and trying to process everything that had happened. I should have assumed that GM had had some kind of breakdown, but my instincts told me otherwise. The sensations surrounding her were far more complex and didn't feel natural at all. GM was my friend, and I felt like I could have accepted a psychological break far more easily than what I'd felt. I'd felt evil when all was said and done, a separate entity from my good friend that would only be happy with my death. I tossed and turned, but eventually fell asleep to troubled dreams. My dreams did not reflect what I'd gone through. Rather, they were far more mundane and irritating. I was late for an important meeting, and I was wearing inappropriate clothes. My car wouldn't start, and I tried to walk to the meeting, but I got lost along the way. It was a dream I'd had many times before, but this time, amongst the dullness of it all, little things crept in that I wasn't used to. Whilst I struggled to get my car started, there was a figure, barely registered in the background, hanging from a tree. And whilst I walked along a muddy road in heels and my old PE kit, someone was following me and always ducking out of sight when I turned around. I didn't sleep well, but when I woke up as the newly gray dawn filtered through the curtains, Gidget was still asleep, and I counted that as a positive thing. I let her sleep. I'd laid her food and water bowls down where she could easily find them, and assembled her word board should she feel the need to communicate, so there wasn't much else I could do for a sleeping dog. With nothing else to do myself, I opened my phone and started scrolling. There was a message bubble from Facebook Messenger hovering on my screen. GM's face was in the bubble. I ignored it, although pulling down the notifications at the top of my phone screen told me that she had sent me a disturbingly garbled message I couldn't translate. WhatsApp had a new message for me, but a quick glance told me it was also GM. Again, a first glance showed only disturbing nonsense. I swiped that notification away too. I was still tired and did not want to be reminded about GM. Another message awaited me on Instagram. I checked all my apps. LinkedIn and TikTok and YouTube also had messages for me. My new Reddit account had similar notifications. Even my bank app had a fresh message I did not want to read, and whilst it was impossible for GM to access my bank app or leave me a message, it was indeed from her, or whatever was inside her. Everywhere I went, GM was waiting for me. I opened Google. I'm not sure what I was going to search for, but whatever it was left my mind when I saw the Google logo. I know Google changes the logo to a picture for special occasions, but I couldn't imagine what the occasion could be that would require a grainy, partially animated photo of a door. It was in black and white, flickering slightly, and looked all too familiar. For a second, I thought it might be the door to the motel room I was staring at, but somehow it was almost worse when I recognized it as the door to my bedroom where I was barricaded last night. The thought that GM had been outside my door whilst I was on the phone to the police and had possibly taken a photo of my door while she was at it, that was disturbing. I closed my Google app without searching for anything. I didn't want to know what might come up in the results. Gidget and I remained in the motel for nearly a week. The police told me they had done a welfare check on GM and hadn't been able to locate her. There was no sign that she had returned to my house either, but I couldn't bring myself to go home. I felt reasonably safe where I was, but knew I couldn't stay there indefinitely. I was low on funds and my sick time at work was running out. Besides, the more material reasons, being there made me feel like I was on the run. Paranoid, scared all the time, twitchy and anxious. I couldn't live like that, and that bad dreams had not left me. They were normal dreams I was used to having, dreams I had often in various shapes and forms, ones that were apparently common if online dream dictionaries are to be believed. But there was a darker tinge to each of them that made everything worse. If I dreamed about my teeth falling out, there would be a hand stained red extended, ready to receive them. If I dreamed about being back at school, there was always something underneath my desk or in my locker I didn't dare look at. And if I dreamed about falling, there was always something dreadful waiting for me when I reached the end of my fall. And in every dream, a shadowy figure lurked in the background, never acknowledged, but always noticed. I'd really done nothing to deal with the situation I was in, just survived. Gidget had tried her best to explain to me what had happened, but her buttons were very limited. All I could ascertain was that something was dark and GM was now a stranger. I ventured onto the internet again. Messages still waited for me, but the Google logo had returned to normal, which was a comfort. There were many things I could have looked up, but the one I chose to do was find out where Gidget's buttons had come from and order some more. I'm not sure why I did this, but I had a few ideas I wanted to try out. The new buttons arrived quickly, and I agonized over what I would record. How could I ask a dog to express something I didn't understand myself? I allowed myself a little indulgence. I knew what I suspected based on my own feelings around when I'd gone to GM's home, but I didn't know how to translate that into something Gidget could relate to. I started slowly. Recorded my voice onto the new buttons. It made me terrified, but I did it anyway. Gidget's name and Mom were already there, so I recorded my name on one button. Then I recorded a couple more options. Gidget is such a clever dog. I don't think that we as humans really appreciate the level of intelligence a dog can have. Or the level of intellect a dog can have. GM had told me about Gidget's understanding of dreams, but I don't think I really acknowledged that such an abstract thought could be expressed by a little scrap of white fur. and the things I wanted to discuss were such odd concepts. I taught her dog and human. It might seem strange that those were the words I chose to record, but bear with me. Gidget, dog, X, human, GM, human. I knew she had some dog friends she associated with, so I used their names to reinforce what I had showed her. Sparky, I said, and hit the dog button. Rebel, I said, and hit the dog button. Once she'd gotten the hang of that, I tried the human version. I named all the people she might know and hit the human button after each one. She watched me closely, absorbing everything, and it wasn't long before she could answer questions with her 2 new buttons. I named everyone she knew, dog or human, and she answered appropriately, working out that dogs and humans were different. I gave her a treat every time she was correct, and it was every single time. Except when I mentioned GM. But she didn't press the human button when I said GM's name, or said Mom. She had no buttons to press for her. GM was apparently not human or a dog. I thought again for a long time before I could record another button. I made a button for animal. I wanted to be sure Gidget understood that whilst we were all animals, not all animals were dog or human. She knew cats, of course, having been friends with the local cat, but she also knew cows and horses from her walks. Still, she could tell me that Benjamin, a human, was human, that Misty, a cat, was animal, that General, a horse, was animal. But when I said GM's name or Mum again, she did not respond for a long time, until she finally seemed to get frustrated with me, and the final time I mentioned GM, Gidget stamped on her board. Stranger, dark, Mum, bye. I knew what she was talking about. That was the worst thing. I knew when I was with GM, she wasn't GM, and it wasn't just a dissociative episode. GM wasn't GM. She was something else, and from what Gidget had told me, it had to do with something dark in their home. Looking back to when I had taken Gidget away, there was a corner of a room in GM's that I hadn't liked. There was no reason for me to dislike it. It looked no different, but there had been a puddle on the floor near that corner I thought might be Gidget's pee, and I was going to clean it. But GM had stopped me. She did not want me near that corner. And to be honest, I didn't want to go near that corner either, though I couldn't tell you why. It was a relief when she had stopped me. I think whatever had happened to GM had something to do with that corner, and it was why Gidget didn't think of her as human. So I thought again, wrestled with my thoughts actually. How could I allow Gidget to express herself? I was still pondering over how I could help Gidget help me with Gidget's demeanor. I was still pondering over how I could help Gidget help me when Gidget's demeanor changed. She went stiff, digging her little paws into the motel room carpet and cocked her head as if listening to something I couldn't hear. She growled once, a tiny sound almost buried deep in her throat, and looked over my shoulder. I felt paralyzed. All the fear I'd been experiencing in the past days suddenly brought to head. Stiff, Gidget did a strutty little walk over to her board and, looking over her shoulder the whole time, stamped on her buttons. Stranger, Mum. She hesitated, considered all her buttons. I don't think the word she needed was there, so she tried to adapt. Home, she said. Home? Who's home? Was GM at my house again? Where, Mum? I asked, my tongue almost glued to the roof of my mouth. It felt as though all my saliva had evaporated. Gidget looked over my shoulder again and gave a little shudder. Home, she said, pressing the button with a stiff paw. And then I remembered. GM's world had revolved around Gidget, and she had a little saying I had heard more than once. Home is where Gidget is, GM would say as she snuggled her dog. Gidget was here, so maybe this was home, and maybe GM was here. I have to stop now. I'm sorry to leave you all hanging, but I will update as soon as I can. I have statements to give to the police and medical attention to receive, so hang tight. I will be back to tell you the rest. Somehow this keeps getting creepier. This keeps getting scarier. Like somehow it's scary. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. I want to go check my door to make sure it's like double locked. Is that weird? Will you guys judge me if I do that? You know what? Judge me away. I'm fairy. I'm not human. Blame it on my fairiness. I'm gonna go double lock my door. Be right back. Okay. I double locked my door. Like, what is it, the little deadbolt? Because my roommate was saying, like, our you know, like, yeah, our door isn't fully secure if you don't double bolt it. And I was like, you know what? We usually have it double bolted when we're here, but like when we leave, obviously we don't double bolt it from outside. And she stepped out, so I had to go double bolt it. I was like, no, 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 gonna go lock that door. This is why, okay, this is like another side thing, but there's a reason why I will never ever live on the first floor of like an apartment. I don't know what it is, but like the first floor always scares me. It's not just the bugs, but there's something about it being too close to the like ground floor and like the windows being too close to human height level that it just scares me. It just scares me. Yeah. I'm not even gonna ask this time. We're just gonna read the next part. There's no question. It is happening. It is happening. I'm reading the next part. Okay, final update about Gidget. Oh my gosh. Okay. Did you put chair in front of the door? No, my roommate still needs to come back home. Your voice is so fitting for the creepy storytelling, is it, Luke? Thank you. Like, I'm getting scared as I'm reading and trying not to like have my voice shake too much while oh, doggy has 300 EQ. That's Azure. Doggy is genius. See, this is why dogs are bestest. I love the doggo. Love the puppers. They're the bestest. Oh my gosh, guys, this is breakfast laughs and no door. Sir, you do not have a door? Oh no. Oh no. Karma's like, nope. What's the rating so far, guys? What's the rating for this section? What's the rating so far? What are we feeling? 11 out of 10. Doggo knows what's up. Yes, this is so good, isn't it? Oh my gosh, guys, this is wild. Stranger, dark, mom, bye. No. Mommy, mom. Oh, I want to go see. I need to call my mom. Mom, I'm scared. 100 out of 10. 10. 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Ah, this is so good. Cass will straight up leave you to die. That is so true. Cass will be like, yeet. Meow, and then they'll just leave. Doggo will protect. Doggo will stay with you. Even if the doggo hides behind you, the doggo will stay with you. Stranger, very cute. Roll. Does me? Yeah, I'm fairy. I'm as me? Yeah, that's me. Oh, guys, I'm legit. I'm just out. Kawaii. I like my hair started rising as I was reading. Like my what is it? Like the torihada nandakke? What is that in English? Oh my gosh, why is that English? Hold on. What word am I thinking of? Like my goosebumps. I started getting goosebumps. As I was reading, I was like, oh, and then like I was hearing the sound of the heater and I got like kind of stressed for a second. Easy, 10 out of 10. Okay, I think it's time to read the next part. Time to read the next part. I need some water. I'm glad I have hot water. The hot water warms me up inside. Okay. Oh wait, this is the one we just read. Okay. This is my final update about Gidget. Okay, so if you haven't read the rest of this, I suggest you go right back to the beginning so it'll all make sense. I'm sorry for the delay. Things have been hectic. So many things have happened and I'm trying to get everything into order, an order that will make sense. So buckle up. This is going to be a long one. I didn't know whether to run or hide when Gidget told me by association that GM was nearby. I was absolutely terrified and my main thought was to protect Gidget. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely pack, but luckily I hadn't brought much with me and hadn't unpacked much when we had arrived. I had chosen flight over fight, and while running away wouldn't solve things, I didn't know what else to do. I packed Gidget's board, including the new buttons, and hefted my bag and Gidget at the same time. She was shaking and evidently terrified, but she was stronger than me. Despite her trembling, she didn't cower into me. She braced her paws against my shoulders where I'd slung her and lifted her head, chin high, to face whatever might be creeping up on us. Gidget is a ride-or-die kind of dog. I could feel that GM was close. Whether that was some kind of sixth sense or just my faith in Gidget's senses still isn't clear to me, but I ran, packed up my car, and strapped us both in. I felt sick to my stomach. I had an image in my head of GM, filthy and murderous, lurching towards our location, a knife held at her side. She had been searching all week, and now she had found us. I drove without any destination in mind, and the further we got from the motel, the more Gidget relaxed. She didn't sleep once the danger was over, merely lay down on her seat, eyes open, and stared at me. But the tension had gone from her body, and that had to mean something. I was still scared, though. I felt as though GM was still hunting us, following the trail of our souls like some kind of psychic bloodhound. And I knew me and Gidget couldn't last on the road. One can't run forever. I found a new motel and checked in. I didn't want to think about it, was tired of thinking about it, but I knew whatever I had to do had to be resolved quickly. I settled us in, laid out Gidget's board, and returned to Google. I had given up of trying to explain everything logically. I had never considered being in this type of situation, and I was running out of sensible options, so I followed my instincts and searched demonic possession. It felt strange to do so, and I wanted to deny that it could be real, but I did it anyway. My decision was partially influenced by the appearance of a new Google logo that merely consisted of the words, "Open the door," spelled out in black letters against a foggy background. It was disturbing to see, but at this point, I was very nearly done with the whole thing. I was exhausted and hungry and scared, but seeing GM's obvious message just made me roll my eyes. Whatever was in GM was too slow and very repetitive. After an hour or so of reading, I did another quick Google search and found some shops within driving distance that might have the things I need. I had driven too far for GM to be able to catch up with us quickly, so I wasn't too concerned about Gidget's safety, but I was concerned about her mental state. I explained to her that I was going to go out for a while and that I wouldn't be very long. I might have found it strange once upon a time to be conversing so earnestly with a dog, but Gidget had shown me how much she was capable of understanding. She listened carefully to my words, yawned, licked my hand, then fell asleep. That was as good as any indication that she was safe. I trusted her instincts. I bought the crucifixes at the religious supply shop. I had no idea that such stores existed, and the fact that one should be so close to where I was staying made me decide it was some kind of omen. I got a big crucifix made of wood with a realistic Jesus carved on it. Someone had put far too much effort into chiseling abs onto him. I also got 2 silver crucifix necklaces, a larger one for me, and a small one I could attach to Gidget's collar. I bought a Bible too, just in case it came in handy. I felt like I was stocking up for a vampire attack. At that point, I wouldn't have been surprised if the shop had also sold pre-sharpened steaks. My next stop was a place that sold herbs. I bought a bunch of white sage that I wasn't sure what I was going to do with, but which had seemed important according to what I'd read online. On the way home, I stopped at a church along the way. I had a large water bottle in the car which was nearly empty, so I drank the contents and went into the church. The font was by the door. So was the priest. I wasn't sure what to say to him, but I held up my water bottle and asked if I could fill it. I had thought I might have to be sneaky or come up with a valid excuse, but he waved me in without comment or judgment. He watched me as I held the neck of the bottle underwater. "House haunted?" he asked with half a smile. "Friend possessed," I said, and we both laughed. I could have asked him for help, I suppose, but it all seemed so fantastical it didn't occur to me. I should really have asked him for help. Instead, I went back to the motel and Gidget. Gidget was still asleep, and whilst I didn't want to wake her, I did want to make sure she was protected. The first thing I did was slide the small crucifix off its chain and clip it to her collar, right next to the tag with her name on it. She wagged her tail at me. I hoped it would be enough for now. The second thing I did was use the holy water. I wasn't sure where to use it. I had thought about the motel doorways, but I couldn't be certain how many ways in there were. So I settled for pouring a line across the doorway of our room and splashing the door and door handle liberally on both sides. I did glance at the window too, but we were on the 3rd floor, so I didn't think it would be a problem. There was quite a lot of the holy water left, so I put it on my bedside cabinet and made a mental note to remind myself not to drink it. After that, there was not much else to do. I fed Gidget, ate something myself, which was difficult with the way my stomach was curdling, and lay down on the bed. Gidget did not have her own bed this time, so she climbed up with me, and it was unspeakably comforting to have her warm, fuzzy body nestled next to me. I decided when all this was over, I would get a dog of my own. I hadn't intended to fall asleep, but the stress must have shut my body down because the next thing I knew, it was dark, and I wasn't in my bed. Instead, I appeared to be floating high above an unfamiliar road, and after the initial panic, I realized I must be dreaming and forced myself to relax. The road was mostly empty, a few cars parked along the curbs, and streetlights dotted lining it. Nothing to catch the attention apart from a lone figure toiling along. Even from a distance, the figure looked familiar, and the recognition seemed to be responsible for me drifting down and drawing closer. It was GM, still dressed in her stained sweats, her hair even more matted than when I had seen her before. She was walking with an uneven but somehow inexorable stride, rolling from side to side, yet making good speed. One hand was swinging next to her, fingers curled into a loose fist. The other was deep in the pouch of her hoodie. With the curious knowledge of dreams, I felt like I knew what she was clutching in there, and that it was for me. I shouldn't have been able to hear her from that height, but I could. She was panting and muttering in a low voice, and although I could not make out any real words, she sounded angry, and her voice sounded a lot deeper than it had before. I didn't want to go any closer. I felt like if I did, she would sense my presence like Sauron when Frodo put the ring on, but my curiosity got the better of me. It was a dream, I reasoned. Scary, yes, but still a dream. So I went down until I was just ahead of her, seemingly hovering a few feet above the ground. A car drove past us without even slowing, which cemented the idea that I could not be seen. GM was twitching her head as she walked, abrupt little jerks that made her face blur, and something about the way that happened made me extremely uneasy. I wanted to see her face. I felt like if I could, it would give me more of an idea of her mental state. As she grew closer to where I floated, she faltered, feet stumbling ever so slightly. Did she sense that I was there? I could now see in the false yellow light of the street lamps that her shoes were stained dark, and I was horrified when I realized that she had walked so far that her feet were bleeding. GM started forward again with even more urgency than before. Her hand was coming out of her pocket and I saw a dull gleam. She was coming towards me. She could see me. I panicked, willing myself to fly up to where I had been before, but whether my fear was keeping me there, a rabbit in the headlights, or GM was holding me down somehow, I couldn't be sure. I could see her face as the headlights of another passing car illuminated it, the glint of her eyes. They weren't completely black like I had somehow expected, just her normal eyes, but somehow they still managed to convey utter madness. "You!" she crowed, and whatever was in her hand sliced the fabric of her hoodie as it came free, and it wasn't until she was right on top of me that I managed to break the hold gravity had over me. I shot upward with sickening speed, heading for the stars, but not before one of her hands brushed my foot, going straight through it. I woke up in the motel room, my heart hammering away against my ribs, my breath scorching my throat. When I'd fallen asleep, Gidget had been nestled in the crook of my arm, but now I was hugging her close and she was whining, tongue flicking at my face. It had to have been just a dream, I told myself. But even if it had been, it was one I never wanted to have again. It had been creepy enough, but the worst part was when GM had touched my foot at the very end. She hadn't made purchase, as I was just in my dream body, but it was still long enough to transfer everything that was happening inside her. And there was a lot going on. I felt her pain first. She had indeed bled through her shoes and was walking in a jellied layer of it, grinding on the small bones that, from the loose way they floated, felt like they could have broken. The tendons and muscles in her legs were surely torn, and it felt like she had a permanent cramp. She was starving too, and thirsty. The thing controlling her hadn't let her eat or drink. It didn't care about her. She was just a vessel, and it would push her for as far as it wanted until she was dead. Maybe then it would vacate the lifeless meat of her body. The second thing I felt was the entity itself. It was angry. But it also felt like anger and hate were the only things it ever felt, a constant state of being. I saw in whatever passed for its mind what it intended to do to me and Gidget, and that there would be no mercy, no hesitation, and we had done nothing to deserve it except escape. I was glad I had only felt it for a split second. Had I felt its emotions for a longer period, I think I would have gone insane. It was a miracle GM had held out for so long. But horrible as the pain and the entity's spite had felt, the third thing I had sensed before quitting the scene was somehow far Worse, I had felt GM herself, a scratchy little scream buried deep down inside the whole mess. I don't know if it was her consciousness or if it could truly be her soul, but I could hear her shrieking as if she were at the end of a very long tunnel, muffled but not robbed of any of its horror for all that. I didn't know if GM could ever come back from that place, physically or mentally. Even if the entity was driven out, her physical body had sustained so much abuse from the inhuman puppeteer commanding it that I felt sure her internal organs would be shutting down. And her mind? I thought it might be completely broken. I hugged Gidget tight. There would be no more running. It had to end. The showdown came a day later. The entity must have pushed GM's body to unnatural limits in order to get to where we were so soon, but I was glad in a way when it finally arrived. I had been scared for too long, and Gidget had been even more anxious the closer it got. The tension had been unbearable. Gidget alerted me to our visitor around 3 a.m. Neither of us had been able to sleep, and Gidget had been pacing up and down, but she stopped in her tracks, the fuzzy fur on the back of her neck standing up, and stalked over to her board. "Mom, home," she said. I wasn't at all surprised. There was a chair in the room I had wedged against the already locked motel room door, but now I retrieved it and turned it to face the entrance. I sat down, Gidget at my feet, the Bible on my lap, the big wooden crucifix clutched in both hands, and waited. It didn't take long for me to pick up on the presence of the thing inside GM. Gidget had felt it sooner because her senses were more attuned, but there was no mistaking the dread rising up in my belly. It tasted like bile, and I felt like I would vomit. There was a smell that might have been real, might have been in my mind, but it was strong and foul. I kept my eyes fixed on the door. Would I open it when it knocked? That was the whole point after all. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, over and over, notification after notification, until the vibrations carried it over the edge onto the floor, where it continued to report. I didn't need to read the messages to know what they said. It wanted me to open the door. There was a little time left. "Get on the bed, Gidget," I told her. The bed was further away from the door, and I didn't want her to be the first thing GM saw. Gidget whined and remained where she was. "I mean it, Gidget. Good girl. Go and get on the bed. I'll deal with Mom." She complied with obvious reluctance. She looked so small on that big bed, I thought, as I looked back over my shoulder at her. Just a tiny little floof, a ball of yarn. I smiled at her. I was still smiling when the shadow appeared in the window by the bed. We were on the 3rd floor. The window shouldn't have been a problem. I had checked, you see, checked for drain pipes or fire escapes or anything like that, and it was just a wall all the way up to our window, but it didn't seem to have stopped GM. She had somehow climbed up there, and she hung, framed in the window, grinning in at us. I saw her very clearly before the light went out and the window broke. She had lost so much weight, it didn't seem possible, and her skin hung on her bones. Two of her front teeth were broken, and the jagged edges gnashed at her bottom lip as she smiled. One bloody hand lifted in a wave, so she was hanging onto the windowsill with the other. Her nails were missing, no doubt from her impossible climb, and the spongy fingertips touched the window, daubing a crooked smiley face on the glass. The light went out then, just as her hand was doubling into a fist and drawing back, and I got out of my chair so quickly it toppled, the Bible falling from my lap. The crash seemed deafening in the small space. I could see very little, the only light coming from a distant street lamp, but it was enough to see the hunched shadow that had once been my friend launch itself through the window. The broken glass still in the window frame had formed long spears that didn't deter her, but they did slow her down. She was reaching for Gidget with frantic, grabby hands, but the glass pierced her and held her in place like a beetle on a pin. I didn't have time to process what was happening or to make an informed plan of action, but I did the only thing I could. I hadn't been sure when I bought it what use the crucifix would be, but it turned out it was very useful indeed at knocking GM right the fuck out. Gidget hadn't moved. As tiny as she was, she had faced the threat with the spirit of a Caucasian mastiff, and even when GM was still, she didn't let her guard down. GM's hands had just about bridged the gap between the window and the bed, leaving bloody handprints on the covers, but now they dropped onto the floor. She hung over the sill, hair dangling, arms limp, and I didn't know what to do. I'll be honest, I thought about hitting her again, hitting her as many times as it needed to finally set her free, but she had once been my friend, and more practically, my knowledge of the law was sketchy when it came to bludgeoning intruders to death. So I called the police instead and took a look at what I had to hand. I doused her with holy water first. Her body twitched at that, and she let out a feeble cry, trying to lift her head. My instinct to help her was up strong, but she sounded so pathetic, but I wasn't going to get much closer than I already was. I remembered the sage too, in the long, stretching minutes before I could hear the approaching sirens in the distance, and thought I might as well use it as it was there. I lit it, and it produced a thick plume of smoke that almost immediately set off the smoke alarm. But I tried to ignore the piercing beeps and reached out at arm's length to waft the smoke towards GM. It drifted in lazy curls, apparently not aware of the urgency, and I watched it, mesmerized. It wanted to go straight out the window, so I bent and swished the glowing bundle closer. The smoke swirled and settled around GM's head. She reacted again then, lifting her head and fixing me with a furious gaze. Her eyes were bulging so much I didn't think she could actually close the lids, and there was blood that looked black in the half-light pouring from her mouth. One of her hands snatched up from the floor and managed to snag my ankle, pulling me over. There was broken glass everywhere, and I only dimly felt the shards scraping my back as she started to drag me towards her with strength that was ridiculous considering her condition. I screamed for help, hoping someone was near enough to come to my aid, and tried to grab at the big crucifix which I had put down to attend to the saging, but it was just out of reach. I kicked at her face, feeling the crunch as a couple more of her teeth shattered, but she spat blood at me and carried on pulling. It was Gidget that managed to stop her. The tiny dog hurled herself from the bed, ears flying, small teeth snapping, and clamped her jaw around GM's wrist. GM shouted, not from pain but from rage, and released my ankle to shake Gidget loose. Her fingers were twisting to reach Gidget's collar, but she shrieked again when the little crucifix next to Gidget's name tag touched her skin. She threw her arm back, intending to smash Gidget against the wall, but Gidget let go of her wrist just before impact and rolled away, unharmed. I grabbed the crucifix then, scrambling my way through broken glass until I reached it, and I was just about to smash GM over the head with it again when the police arrived. I'm told they had to wrestle it from my hands, but I don't remember much about that. And now, we are pretty much up to date, apart from the aftermath. I'm very tired after writing all this, so I'll give you a summary as I can whilst hopefully covering anything. GM is dead. Not from the blow to the head I gave her with the crucifix, but from the deterioration and damage her body had undergone whilst under the power of the entity, combined with the injuries from the broken glass. They did all they could to save her, but she was too far gone. They said it was astonishing that she'd managed to do the things she'd done in her condition. The authorities are staunchly blaming mental health, and I suppose it's a reasonable conclusion under the circumstances, but it's not the truth. I was there, and I saw the entity leave her body once the vessel was no use to it anymore. I remember that part. Nobody else saw it. I think that maybe my own mental state had heightened my abilities so much under all the stress that I was momentarily given the power. It was a blurred thing. Dark. Very dark. Some might have mistaken it for a shadow cast by the beam of the police flashlights as they shone them into the small motel room, but it twisted in the opposite direction that a shadow should have, dancing crazily as it detached, almost too fast for the human eye to perceive. Something about the movement made me sick to my very stomach, and I closed my eyes, but in the last second before I shut it out, it turned and acknowledged me. GM died a couple of days later, in a hospital bed, surrounded by friends. She never regained consciousness after the entity left her, and I'm glad of that. The torture she had been through had ended. I remained in the hospital for a couple of days. Most of my injuries were superficial cuts from the broken glass, although there was one gash that had needed several stitches, and there was a bruise around my ankle in the perfect shape of a handprint that faded after only a day. Physically, I am sore but more or less okay. Mentally, not so much. Gidget's family decided I should adopt her, and that's something I gladly accepted. The little dog and I had become close during a hard time, and I was happy to move all her things into my own home. At some point during all the commotion at the motel, she lost the little crucifix on her collar, so I'm going to get her another one, just to be safe. I know GM is gone now, but I think it's important. Gidget is in much the same condition as myself. Physically okay, mentally not so much. She has been distant and very quiet in the period since we came home. She hasn't had any cuddles and has kept very much to herself. Neither has she used her board, but I have hopes she will settle down soon. I intend to give her all the love GM gave her, and more. She will be safe with me. Update. Gidget used her board today for the first time. She asked for a treat and got her request. I think things are looking up. Update 2. I might need some advice. Does anyone know how these boards work? I've read the instruction booklet over and over, changed batteries in the buttons, etc., but they keep glitching or something. I know it's probably something in the electronics, but to be honest, I'm starting to creep me out. The buttons keep saying stuff that I'm pretty sure GM didn't record, and it doesn't even sound like her voice. Maybe she did it when she was halfway under? Update 3. One of the buttons I recorded myself has started to do the same thing. Same voice. The things they say are reasonably upsetting, and Gidget is using the board very strangely. I can't quite explain how, but she doesn't just hit the buttons. She will stand staring at me for a long time, then just when I'm getting really freaked out, she will press a button without looking at the board, watching me for my reaction the whole time. I really want to be wrong, honestly I do, but the way Gidget keeps looking at me, I keep wondering where the entity went after it left GM. Stupid, I know, but still, I think I might get some more holy water, just in case, and it might be a coincidence, but Gidget's fur looks darker somehow. Gidget more. Hello. No sad. Dark treat Gidget happy. Human happy. Animal happy. Dark inside. Dark friend. No stranger. No sad. Gidget happy. Goodbye. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Okay. That's the fact that the dog made the last update is the scariest part, because like what happened to friend? What happened to Auntie X? Oh my gosh, no. That was so scary. Holy crap. Oh my gosh, Darker Gidget sponsored by Netflix. No. What is it called? What is that show called? Black Mirror? No, what was it called? Yeah, it's no. Oh my goodness, no. This needs to be an episode on that or something. I don't know what it. I don't know. Oh my goodness, amazing story. I'm glad. Oh my gosh, I'm this. Let's check who's author. I think the author was really authentic and kept, yeah, Withy Woodwitch. I think they kept their first as Withy Woodwitch too. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay, so it's Withy Woodwitch. So shout out to this amazing author here. But wild. 9.5 out of 10 because Doggo got possessed. I feel ya on this one. I am, yeah, Black Mirror. Yeah, this is so good. This writer did a very good job with the creep factor. Like, yes, someone I kind of saw a comment slide by as I was reading, but someone, Brian, right? You wrote rather cliche, but it's executed so well, so whatever, right? Exactly. Like, we've heard about the demon possession sort of thing. Like, that's a very like normal like Halloween-y, scary story, but like the way it was executed was I think the dog upped the factor, because I think we all love and empathize with animals and we love dogs, right? And like somehow it's not as scary when it's just a human dealing with it. It's like more, I don't know, real, because it's like there's this element of a dog that we feel so attached to. Like, to be honest, I feel more attached to the doggo than I do feel the author, the writer in some ways. IDKY, I expect good endings on horror. Rain is like, I am not happy with this. 0 out of 10. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Dog more important than stinky human. Humans, yeah. I don't know about humans, but doggo, poor doggo. No, 100% must protect doggo. Yeah, we gotta protect doggo. You must protect doggo. I think that was good for long stories. Let's finish up with some, like, I'm gonna close all these because I don't think there's a point to reading that. Let's finish up with some short 2-sentence horror. We'll do like 10-15 minutes of it and we'll call it good for today. But man, I did not expect it to be like 4-part. I saw the dog and you guys know I'm a huge dog fan, so I was like, oh, dog story, let's go. Well, yep. So I'll just sort this by top this week. Okay. I think this is the way to go. I'd like to order a large pepperoni pizza with... I hung up the phone, exasperated that scam calls were cutting into my time responding to actual 911 emergencies. Oh no! Oh my... No! That was not the turn I expected when reading short horror. The realism makes it so much better than your standard horror story because it sounds like something that could actually happen except for the possessions. Yeah, I feel you, Ryan. Like with the doggy board talking and stuff. Yeah. Wait, hold on. I should have. Oh man. Wait, hold on. I closed it. Well, I've closed it. Frick. Oh, we should have read the comments before we closed it. Oh, I pulled a dumb move. Should we go read the comments? Wait. No sleep. No sleep. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I know we like usually read the comments a bit to see what was the. Wait. What is it? What was it called? Oh my gosh! I just read the title to you guys. What was it called? What did I read? Dog. This is definitely not the right way to search for this. Oh no. Because I want to remind me what the story was called. TwoSentenceHorror. Toilet seat warm. Lives alone. You should put that in, Breakfast. You should put it on to Reddit. you should put that one up. That is horror. That is in fact very horror. Unless your seat is like a heated toilet seat. Unless you have one of those fancy toilets that has heated seats. Actually, in Japan, like the bathroom in the apartment that I was staying at while I was working had an auto heating toilet seat. The toilet seat would be warm. It was kind of nice. It was kind of nice when I was trying to when I was like, you know, in the night and you're cold and you're like shivering and you just get out of bed and you're like, no, it's too cold. This one, yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll catch up on comments for this one another time. I totally have forgotten what it was called. It's okay. We'll tell you another. We'll continue with short horror in the meantime. Okay. Okay. The Mayan 2012 calendar wasn't a prophecy of the world ending. It was a strong suggestion. No. Okay. Let me see. We knew early on that the zombie plague could revive and enrage the corpse of any mammal, but we learned far too late of the other symptomatic carrier class, Arachnida. Wait, no, is that spiders? No, wait, wait. Spiders carrying the plague is like a disaster. That's especially in the fairyland. There's a lot of spiders. I live near Mount Rainier and recently got a volcano warning. I was expecting it to erupt with lava and ash, but something far worse emerged. Glitter! It covered everything from miles around! No, that is worse! Somehow glitter is worse! No, glitter or oil. Like, that's the stuff you can't... Our third sentence worse. There's something else. Glitter is horrible. It's raining metal. It's raining. Oh no. It's raining tacos out of the sky. No, okay, see, listen, I want tacos. I want to eat tacos. Godzilla came out of the volcano. I flashed my lights at a car to let them know their headlights were off. They've been following me now for 30 minutes and my gas light just came up. Oh my gosh. Wait, no, that's too... Oh no, I hate this. You know why? Because this is way too realistic. This is way too realistic. Holy crap. Like, road rage is a thing, guys. That wilds me. That's... Oh, this one's the scariest so far. Like, legit. This is... Ugh. Okay. Researchers have recently leaked evidence that the mermaids that were captured aboard the Melusine were not mermaids, but instead mermen. They also theorize that the species has sexual dimorphism similar to the anglerfish, where the females are 60 times bigger than the male. Okay, that's really... okay. I'm gonna move on. I'm like scared to like check the responses for these things, not gonna lie, guys. Cats tend to really enjoy laying down on warm surfaces. I know she likes my husband a lot, but I thought his body was already cold. Oh my gosh. Fun fact, please don't label this fun fact and then write something that's not... Fun fact, every hour after someone dies, they only go down 2 degrees Fahrenheit, so they would probably still be warm for a while. Okay. Attention shoppers, the time is now 8:45 and we will be closing in 15 minutes. If you have not left the store before the doors are locked, you will be hunted for sport. No! NTR Necro Cat? I think the cat is just lying. No, I think it's just the cat's like lying down on a warm spot. That's scary. That's really scary. Oh. Someone once told me, if you can see a mountain lion, that means it isn't hunting you. So I've carried a picture of one ever since. That's really funny. Wait, hold on. Yesterday, there was no mountain lion in that picture. Oh my gosh, wait, what? Wait, no, this one's really good too. Wait, someone wrote this. I like this, but the first sentence made me think this was our dad jokes. You think like it's a joke, and then you're like, wait. Fun fact, an oof body can sometimes twitch even after they oof. No, I don't know. No. In the fact though, the petals stay with owners even when they're gone. This is true. This is absolutely true. Like, yeah, especially, yeah. Yeah, oh, wait, is it? Oh, I'm so sorry. I just realized this is like partially off the screen. Hold on. I think it's because the sizing for the subreddit changed. Give me a second. Thanks for letting me go. No, let me move this so you guys can see it properly. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize it wasn't visible. I've met a lot of time travelers. Most of them want to kill me. I just want to go to art school, damn it! Third sentence history. I like one and this needs more. This one I need like more information on like why do they want to kill you though? Why though? Thanks, Ro. No problem. No, thanks for letting me know, K4. I wouldn't have known because I'm looking at the Reddit screen. I'm not looking at like the stream screen. And I should have checked. I should have just looked to my left and checked. I'm dumb. Okay. Nothing new there. I could have just looked at my own little monitoring screen and checked, but anyway. Another fun fact is that tigers have fake eyes behind their ears, I think, implying that there's a bigger prey. Holy crap. Nope. No. I think that Breakfast, I think your sentence is in fact the two-sentence horror. You should just like split it up. Another fun fact is that I feel like Breakfast, you have a lot of good writing stories so far. You should just put them on Reddit. Let's see. I was born with a rare type of synesthesia in which I can hear shadows, said the little girl I was babysitting. And just before I turned off the lights so she'd go to sleep, she whispered, "Yours doesn't like you at all." That's K. That's K. You don't get the reference? No. I do know the reference, but I don't know if that was actually that reference in that context, though. Because they're not talking about... Oh, maybe... I can see it. Okay, I can kind of see what you're saying. I can kind of see what you're saying, Fel. Okay. I couldn't pay my heating bills this time. Me and the kids are going to sleep in the garage with the car on to warm us up tonight. Oh no! Please do not ever do this. Okay, this is like 10 out of 10. People will not know how bad this is. Do not ever sleep in a confined space with any sort of gas running. Please do not. Please never do that. Nope. The horrifying thing about this is there is definitely someone who thinks that this is oh gosh. Okay, I don't want to. Nope. That's too real. That one was way too real. Okay. These are actually legit really scary. These are way too scary. Two-sentence horror, Lawrence. The stream was fun and I had a good time. Although it's chilly, I think I'll call it a night. However, it's a hot summer night and the aircon is busted. No. Why is it chilly? Why is it cold? No. I am blind and have the ability to see the future. But when I do, it's still all black because nothing I do can escape oblivion. No, that's so sad. It's scary. Oh, these are pretty intense actually. Like because there's less context, you imagine more. Hold on, let's see. What was this year? Let's see. There's a lot of like very realistic stuff here. This is using all my speed reading skills to not read something I don't want to have read on stream. Today's number is 10. It was 300 a week ago, about 50,000 a month ago. And just a year ago, the number was 7.9 billion. Yeah, this one is well written. This one is short and simple and straightforward. I like this one. Regular checkup on the channel sub count after the stream. The channel profile has changed into a pic of your bedroom door. Oh my god, if that happened, holy crap, I would start crying. I would start crying. No, that's too scary. Oh, Rain, I would cry. I would just straight up like wah. I'd be like wah. I'd call my mom, be like, Mom, hold me. Okay. So tell me, sir, can your device really tell the shapeshifters apart from humanity? No. It's but another one of my failed inventions, sadly. I lied, hoping he didn't see the sweat upon my brow as I shakily reached for my gun. Oh, this one's good too. You have to think about them a tiny little bit. Yeah, you have to think about these ones a little bit. I think I still prefer NoSleep a bit more, but I like that the NoSleep ones are, sorry, the TwoSentenceHorror ones are a little bit short and quick. So, but I feel like there are a lot of hit and misses in this for me personally. Okay, we'll end on like the one that seems scariest. Okay. Everyone feels safe when they double check that the door is locked. They never seem to consider it might not have been them that locked it. I think that's a good one to end with. Let's call that one good. Let's call that the end. Oh my gosh. Man. Oh. Okay, yeah, no. I was thinking it was gonna say something like, no, you always feel safe when you double check that the door is locked, and usually I would think that they would say something like, but they don't check the windows, or they don't check this or that, like something that people don't really check very often. There's a window in our apartment. There's a couple windows in our apartment that's always open actually, but they're on we're like floors up, so you can't really access it. But you aren't scared of the dark. You're afraid if someone is with you in the dark. That's right. K4, I have a goldfish memory. Okay, this one I kind of want to... Yeah, this one's the pizza one we read. Yeah, okay, I think this is good. I think this is where we'll pause. We ended up doing a doggy story marathon of... I didn't expect to read that much NoSleep in one go, but it was a good story. I'm glad I read it. It was pretty interesting. I'll put the link to... I'm gonna... Give me like a day. I'm gonna put the link to the stories I read today and last week in the description so you guys can access it and upvote the original authors and comment or whatever you want to do, or read it for yourself. Don't want me reading to it. Read it yourself. But yeah, give me like a day or two to put all that, because I forgot. I got busy. This week got really busy actually all of a sudden with school stuff, so I didn't get a chance to put it up. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I'll put like chapters. I'll try to do chapters for the stream so that you guys can access the stories really easily. I'll re-upload this longer story that I read for you guys because I kind of like it and I want to re-upload it. And then I'll put the links for everything. So yeah, should we do more read-along style stuff in the future? Doesn't have to be scary stories. Maybe we can read along other stuff. Actually, there's something I really want to do. Like more, not debate exactly, but like where we read something and we just like we get a chance to like I feel like it's gonna be fun to discuss it with you guys, and I don't want to give it away by telling you what I'm thinking of, but like that's something I have planned for like maybe next week or like several weeks down the road, maybe in the new year. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, thank you, Ro, for this wonderful story reading. No problem at all, Rain. I will get better at reading stories. Actually, so I sang for like 3 hours before I started streaming. I recorded a new cover. So I want to work on that this weekend and into next week. But yeah, I realized, I maybe shouldn't have done that right before I was going to be reading for like a couple hours. But I hope you still like the storytelling. I hope you enjoyed reading horror stories with me. For those of you who I won't see before next week, well, yeah, before next week or later this weekend, Monday is Halloween. So happy Halloween. Hope you're having a spooky Halloween with lots of treats. And not as many tricks, but lots of treats. Let's hope the trick is not someone in the dark with you, or the door unlocking itself, or I don't know, me sneaking out from under your bed to steal your choco stash that I know you're hiding from me. Don't think I don't know. I know everything. Yeah. Bro, gonna sleep soundly since it's like scary. The second stream, no, somehow, okay, breakfast, I'm not gonna lie. This story with the dog was the scariest for me. That story with the dog was legit scary for me. But wait, psych, I don't have friends here. Never mind. I don't have to worry about my friend getting possessed. What friend? Friend? What that? This is when you're thankful to not have friends. I'm kidding. Sort of. Jerry, I love your reading. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice once in a while, but not as a super regular thing in my opinion. But you did great. Oh yeah, no, I feel you, Fel. I think like reading every single time is also kind of tough for me to do. But maybe it's something that I can do as uploads once in a while too, actually. Instead of like making it streams every time, I might just record something, like record a story off of Reddit that I really like and upload it for you guys and see what you guys think. Maybe that's what I can do. It's not ASMR exactly, but sort of ASMR. What if roommate was possessed? Listen, Karma, please don't attack me like this. Please don't attack me like this. Kai, 2 sentences. It's Ro bedtime without hot choco. No, I want my hot choc. I want my hot choc. I want my hot cocoa. I want my cocoa. My cocoa keeps me warm. It makes my wings flutter and happy and lets me sleep well. Wah. Actually, guys, wait. I didn't have any choco today. My life is unfulfilled. I must go replenish the choco in my tummy. Okay. Swiss Miss hot chocolate? No, that's what I grew up on, but no. No, I drink better hot chocolate. No, that's not true. I still drink Swiss Miss sometimes. I prefer the Ghirardelli double dark chocolate. Or sometimes I just make hot chocolate myself with like chocolate powder. But yeah. But no, I prefer like double dark hot chocolate. Yeah. Actually, my favorite is this local company near in the west coast of the United States called Moonstruck Chocolate, and they make this hot chocolate that's really yummy. What is your best hot cocoa? Oh, that's tough. I have a few. I have tried a lot of flavors. Actually, there's a couple of new flavors in my room that I found. Whenever I find flavored hot cocoa in the store, I buy it because I want to try it. I love it when they have like those little like 75-cent packets. It's not cost effective, but to try it once in a while, it's nice. But recently I realized that I can't handle the taste of the milk in some of the hot cocos that you can get. Like, I don't handle milk well, and I also don't like the taste of straight milk when it's like heated. I don't know why. Like, I used to love chocolate milk growing up, but I don't like the taste of heated milk. So, yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it. But my favorite is probably the Moonstruck hot cocoa. It's really expensive though, so I don't buy it. But someone gifted it to me once for my birthday like a couple years ago, and I loved it. Or no, they gifted it to me because I was going away to college or something. So, like, yeah, that one was really good. That's my favorite. And then the one I get regularly that's more affordable is the Ghirardelli Double Dark Chocolate. Yeah, Ghirardelli's is really good too. Yeah. You can use water instead of milk. No, I like using almond milk or like cocoa, like some kind of milk substitute. It's just I don't like it when, like, you know how cocoa powders have milk powder in them? Like, they have like milk in them, right? Like the powder has milk powder in it so that, you know, you can mix it with water and it still is somewhat creamy. Because if you just mix cocoa with water and sugar, it's not going to taste good at all, right? They have milk powder in it, but it just doesn't taste as good without. So I prefer like almond milk or oat milk or something. But when they have too much milk powder in it, it makes me really nauseous. So I don't like, and all this, I can't stand the smell either. How about oat milk? I do like oat milk. I don't usually buy it because I think oat milk is harder to buy and more expensive than almond milk where I am. And almond milk is like more accessible. It's just cheaper. It's the cheapest milk substitute I can buy, other than soy milk. So that's what I get. Hi, Mitsuri. Hello. Have you ever had cold cocoa soup? I have, all the time. I drink it on a daily basis. Especially when I tell myself I'm not gonna have chocolate for a month. I choose to consume cold cocoa soup instead because that's not chocolate. Believe me, it's not chocolate. Think about it, not chocolate. Okay, guys. Naruhodo. Okay, guys, I think... Oh, wait, hold on. My office had dark cocoa 80%, 100%. It's just fruity and bittersweet. I like dark cocoa, though. I like dark chocolate. Yeah, I like marshmallows. Marshmallows is yummy. Hot choco for hot fear. What? Me? What? Yeah, but I do really like dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is really good. Okay, guys, I think we'll call it good here. I hope you like the spoopy stream. I hope you have fun. this is the last one we'll do for No Sleep for a while. Maybe we'll do it once in a while randomly in the future, but next time I do a reading stream, I might, read random No Sleep stories and upload them, who knows. But we'll do more like read-along style, like discussion-based, maybe something that's a little shorter and more like bite-sized. Like I said, I have a few ideas of stuff that's like really short. We'll like read for like 30 seconds or so and then like have things to talk about. So give me some time. We'll do that in the future. Next week, we're going to be mostly doing games and maybe like a snack chat along sort of thing. But for this weekend, real quick update tomorrow, we're still doing the Genshin pull stream. A couple of you guys contacted me about pulling, Lawrence and Kai, so I will pull on your accounts, but I think a lot of people, I got a few messages that people were waiting for Nahida. So I'll do a Nahida pull stream probably next week. So tomorrow's pull stream is gonna be like a short, like it's gonna be like a 2-hour stream. We're gonna pull for like an hour and a half or so, maybe even less time. I don't think it'll take very long because I asked everybody for their maximum limits on pulls, so I don't want to spend more pulls than you guys ask, and I will never do that. So it'll be shorter, and then we'll spend maybe a little bit of time just grinding materials or doing dailies and calling it good for tomorrow. Sunday will be also another shorter chill stream. We'll be playing like a puzzle game while chatting. It's called I forgot the name. It's something cats organized neatly or something. Cats organized greatly or something like that. I don't remember. I'm sorry, my brain is blanking. But we'll do that. And then next week, we'll, like I said, do some games. So I hope you guys will stop by this weekend. If not, have a good Halloween. Have a fun time. Eat plenty of choco. Look at someone who gives you a toothbrush instead of candy with disdain. No, I'm kidding. Ask them if they're a dentist. Ask them if their parents love them. No, okay, that's terrible. I should... Anyway, sorry, it's my Halloween trauma coming. Anyway, so yeah, I'll catch those of you guys next week. But yeah, otsu desu. Otsu. Hope you had a good time. That is all. Sleep well with the monster under your bed. Bye.